So 2 days ago, I asked you guys to ask me questions for this Q&A video, and I'm finally getting around to answering all of them. Well, not all of them. I'm trying to answer as much as possible. I've gotten so many comments and tweets since then asking me all sorts of stuff, so I'll try to get through a lot of them. Let's begin. 76 Mastermark asks, what do I think of Brother Nathaniel? For those who don't know, Brother Nathaniel is this Jew who converted to Orthodox Christianity, and now he makes videos on YouTube calling the Jew out. And I don't have a problem with his message. I encourage people to call the Jew out. It's just so weird. He makes me feel really odd because his smile is so evil looking. He really looks like the merchant meme guy. He really looks like him, especially when he smiles. And, you know, he looks like the Jewiest Jew that I've ever seen.
Okay, going back and forth here with Vadim Newquist. He's calling me a KKK member. Surprise, surprise. Fucking ridiculous. I challenged him to a debate. He won't do it. He could come on right now. If he, I will take him on. I'll take on all comers. I wanted to talk about several things. Hello, Devin. Hello. Yes, greetings, everybody. How are you doing? I want to talk about this Evalion girl. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Hold on, let me tweet this thing out here in case anybody cares. Notice me, people. Somebody care. I'm just chilling out, you guys. I got some time to kill before bed. What should I say? I am on air right now. Not even kidding. There you go. I set the bait. Now we just wait and we see if they will take up on that. So Evalion is this chick who I think, I need some confirmation on this, but I think her channel just got deleted, which is crazy. I mean, I thought she was just blocked in Germany, but apparently she's gonzo. And I know that some popular YouTubers did a campaign to shut her down and flag her and stuff like that. And I guess you could do that with anybody. I mean, if you have a couple 100,000 people, you could just shut them down. I honestly don't understand why she would be taken off, and I don't think there's any merit to that. And I've seen some of her videos, and I've been playing the game of, is she real? Is she not? Is she being put up to this? Is this performance art? I mean, it seems wildly over the top and totally harmless. I mean, that's the other thing. If you're scared of this and you feel the need to react to this, hey guys, what's going on? If you feel the need to shut somebody like that down and say, okay, we can't even have you talk, then what you're saying is, I kind of fear your ideas. Your ideas are too powerful. I'm afraid they might influence the world. I mean, I'm guessing 98% of her subscribers were just there for the train wreck nature of it all, just to see a young, sort of attractive girl with a very feminine voice spit out wildly racist things. I mean, it's almost comedic in nature, that entire setup. I think maybe I'm thinking of like Howard Stern. Yeah, Howard Stern had a Woody Allen impersonator come on, and he would just drop the most offensive language ever. So they would write things down for him to say, and he would say this in this very sweet little Jewish voice, and it was hysterical. And so I think her channel was popular for that reason, and she was going to be even more popular. I mean, I'd be interested to see what her next move is, because I don't think she's done. I think she's coming back, and whether it's, I don't know, what is the next platform to go to? Live Leak? I mean, nobody goes over there. Not that I can tell anyway. I mean, Vimeo will shut you down. Fuck, I got shut down on Vimeo. They ended my stuff. Devin, in your experience, look at this. It's like a Dear Abby show here. Devin, in your experience, what is the best way to get a good boyfriend? Oh, you muppet, you. How dare you suggest that I have experience in getting boyfriends? I would say, it's probably pretty easy to get a boyfriend. If you want a high caliber one, you might have to do some vetting. But I would say go online, man. That's the way all the kids are doing it these days. Do your research and flirt, be single and be ready to mingle and get your swings in, And if that all fails, you must rape. Just jump them, hump them, and dump them. Don't think it's that hard. There's 7 billion people out there. If you can't get laid, you are seriously dysfunctional. I want to curb stomp Vadim. Vadim fears me, man. He literally is just, he's such a putsy guy. I mean, I want to know seriously if he lives in his grandmother's apartment, because I cannot believe that the guy decorates his apartment in that style. What is that? Is he like first generation Russian? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we've gone nowhere. That's what's amazing with these arguments you have with these regressives. They start nowhere, they go nowhere. He just within 5 minutes called me a member of the KKK. That was the first thing he ever said to me. First tweet I ever got from him was, "You're a member of the KKK." And I don't know if any of you just saw me in the conversation I had with my father, or if you're aware of my background, or it's not just my South African background, which is I didn't have it. Fuck, I mean, I've been there twice. I mean, but my family comes from there, and you might make a case that I was influenced in terms of how I view races through the lens of multiple generations of people who live, work with, study, promote Black people and Black culture. So maybe, and I told Vadim, I said I fucked at least 12 Black women in my life, at least. And I'm not even counting the Black girlfriends I've had. I mean, I'm talking just random encounters around the globe. You might have a better case with Asian women than me. I think I've been with one. Can you imagine that? One Asian woman. I just don't feel the gravitational pull toward their bodies sexually. It doesn't, I mean, obviously not all. But yeah, it's just, I discriminate. I'm very discriminating when it comes to sexual partners. Devin, how do you feel about Josh Zepps triggering TYT over Bernie Sanders' defeat? What happened? Josh Zepps is the guy he's the Aussie, right, from Huffington Post Live. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think any sort of dissent on that show is fantastic. And I love when they just want everybody on the left to go follow them down the ditch that they've dropped off into. And the rest of the people on the left, and it usually takes a guy like me or Zepps or somebody who's been around the block and is not a delusional, moronic millennial who's just flailing around with, "Oh, aren't I idealistic? And I'm just going to reshape this world with my language." I mean, once you have a little bit of sense, you could sort of see what's happening there. Devin, how many white girls have you fucked, you racist? Too many to count is the answer. And I would say most guys are, I'm not saying I'm some Don Juan, I'm saying most guys lose count. I would say before they reach 10. I would say if you're a guy and you've slept with your 6th woman, you stop counting. Because you think, I mean, maybe it's an American thing, it's an optimistic thing. You think, what's the point? What am I? I'm going to go journal about each encounter? There's going to be many more. This is going to be a parade of sexual partners where I will be spreading my seed throughout the land, throughout the 7 kingdoms. So I'm not going to sit here and keep count. I don't have the RAM. Okay? But I think women might be different. I don't know. I don't know anything about women. That's why I have 7% women on my channel, because I don't relate to them and they are foreign to me. They're alien species. What are your thoughts on butt play? Is butt play the new phrase for it? I'm a firm believer in the concept that there's more anal sex being had by straight people than gays. And I'll even grant you a 10% gay stat, which is highly controversial. I think it's probably more around 5% of the global population is gay. I don't know. I mean, we obviously don't have the numbers, and we live in a world where people are not going to come out of the closet all at once. So even if you're polling people in, I don't know, America, which you probably have the best chance of people being out of the closet, there's still huge percentages that are in the closet. I mean, Christ, you see them all over the place. Go into any church, you'll see them. Atheism Stopple would make the 8. Yes, I would. there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, seriously, the amount of female attractiveness on that show. Devin, would you bang a grandmother? Yes, I believe there's a couple that come to mind. I think Christy Brinkley might be a grandmother. I saw a picture of her. I think she's like 60 something, and she's yeah, definitely you're gonna if you don't decide to stick it in Christy Brinkley, you're being a hypocrite because I know for a fact you've stuck it in uglier girls than that. You know, given her age, given all the considerations, it's still going to be a pleasurable experience. So I'm not adverse to grandma sex, and you can quote me on that. Sargon has 4% women. Is that right? That's kind of insult. I mean, well, if he rose to internet stardom, however meaningless that is, with Gamergate, I guess you would expect that. Women just don't care, man. It's amazing that we have a woman here, Izzy. It's seriously, you have to treat them like it's like seeing a deer in the wild in a forest, a baby deer, like a Bambi situation. And the deer is like nibbling on some grass, and you step on a stick and it makes a sound, and the deer notices and it looks up at you, and you lock eyes and you have a moment together. It's a few seconds. And then the deer's like, okay, this is weirding me out. And it just darts off into the jungle. Well, I guess it's a forest. I want to be consistent with my storytelling. That's what it's like. So like right now, Izzy and I are locking eyes in the forest. And yeah, she's a sweet little forest creature who's always ruffling feathers. She should be the next Evalion. Yeah, Izzy, why don't you make a YouTube channel and just start talking about how to identify Jews and why it's good to be a Nazi. It's so weird, man. I mean, she must be so traumatized. I'm guessing sexual trauma. I just don't. It's really hard for somebody to. Although I think she's Canadian. Where is she from? Because we all want to know, man. I'm trying to figure that chick out. Devin, what are your thoughts on the religion of peace? I'm actually kind of sick of them, and I was thinking about that today. People talking about the Quran and Muslims and terror, and it's just so tiresome. And we all just want to get back to everything else in our life. There's at no point in our lives do we say, I want to dedicate X percentage of my life and time and energy and thoughts into discussing a primitive set of beliefs that are just totally abhorrent. Every day, every week, let's just keep talking about that. No, I don't want to do that. Do you guys want me to talk about Scientology every other day? No, I don't want to do that either. So thank God the Scientologists aren't killing people and forcing me to do that. Feminist Flow. Yeah, Feminist Flow apparently wants to interview me, which is a little bit eyebrow raising considering he just interviewed Evalion. So I don't know. I don't know what he's about. Is he a ironic feminist or is he an actual feminist? How's that work? I need to learn more. I need to study these people who want to confront me, try to publicly shame me. Devin, do you even lift, bro? I actually have been not lifting for a while, so I got to get back in there. And I'm recovering. I'm actually recovered from a shoulder injury that I suffered in Berlin. And it's kind of the muscle behind your shoulder that connects to your back, and it sort of fucked me up with any shoulder action and bench press and just a nagging injury. Not like it wasn't overly painful, but it was enough to make me think that my body was crumbling. So, Devin, did you hear they found a pig's head outside Merkel's constituency office? What's that? Did they really? Well, I heard a stat today that Germany's going to spend 90 billion euros over the next 6 or 4 years for the migrants. We're planning on letting in hundreds of thousands more. So I think close to 4 million over the next 4 years. I was just having a walk out tonight to go get some food, and there was a bunch of Syrians playing in the flowers and riding their little tricycles and enjoying life. So I skull fucked them with an evil glare and said, "How dare you? This is my ancestral land. This is my fatherland." I'm just kidding. I'm just as much of a stranger here as they are, but at least I'm the right color. So I'll let that sit with you. Anyway, no, they're actually pretty lovely, these people. So I actually have some hope for the ones I'm seeing in my town. I know that this can change. I know that once you get the young men together, things can change. But if they assimilate, there's going to be no problem. No problems whatsoever. Just like we've seen successful assimilation in other parts of the world. Devin, do you like horror movies? I don't believe in anything supernatural, but I love them. Yes, I love horror films. I think they're very difficult to be effective nowadays. I've made several websites for horror films, so it's a genre that I've worked with in terms of advertising. A lot of bad horror films that are pumped out, a lot of low budget ones, or what they would call low budget in today's Hollywood. I think it's hard to. We've seen it all when it comes to horror, and I think it's much like comedy, much like YouTube content, quite frankly, unless you're original, unless you have new spins on things, people are tired of it. Like, think of M. Night Shyamalan, when he gives us a twist at the end of one of his movies and we go, ooh, wow, that was new, awesome. And then he does it again, and he does it again, and the third, fourth time, you're like, oh my God, this is a cliche. I don't even care anymore, and why is this happening? So horror, as far as the supernatural, I find it's not as effective in horror because magic sucks, man. I mean, there's no stakes with magic and supernatural. There's nothing that makes sense. You can do whatever you want. It's like, oh, I was running away from the guy, but then he transported across the house and now he's over here. It's like, oh, come on, man. Life is scary enough. You don't have to make that shit up. That being said, the scariest movie I ever saw was The Exorcist Part 3. Just horrifying. I mean, I was like 17 when I saw that, and I slept in bed with my parents. Not kidding. I went to see it with two girls. They were on either side of me. Platonic friends, unfortunately, but just dark, man. Really troubling stuff. Yeah, I mean, you check that out one night on a rainy night, and you tell me you're not going to get freaked out by that. Rue, would you fuck the Virgin Mary if she wanted to? I think the cleanliness back then was not up to par. So I'm guessing she'd be like have a significantly hairy bush, or a formidable bush, which is what I said recently. And she would probably look like one of the Syrian people, which actually the Syrians are not bad looking as a group. They look like Israelis, quite frankly. I would prefer she look more Armenian or Azerbaijanian. How do you say that even? Devin, what do you think about Bomerman, a German comedian possibly facing a prison sentence over a poem? I think it's outrageous. And once again, it takes me back to the name of this hangout, Evalion. Why is she banned from YouTube? Why? Because somebody disagrees with her? It's not like she's saying, hey, everybody, go kill these people at this location and I'll send you some weapons in the mail to do it. This is not an imminent threat. These are words and ideas from a teenager. And if anything, it helps. If you think what she's saying is so awful, then amplify her. Do a video about her. Underline her. I mean, shame her and expose her. Don't sit there and hide from this. I mean, this is garbage, man. I should do a video supporting this woman. Because, yeah, and who's this Onision? I mean, some queer guy. I tried to watch 5 minutes of his video, could not hack it. Just the cutting and the editing and what he classified as a sense of humor is just garbage. Unwatchable. I mean, do you guys ever do that? I know that on YouTube, you tend to have a little circle, like the channels you're subscribed to. Most people don't even view them all because you're subscribed to 100 channels. You don't keep track of that shit. You might glance at a couple, maybe, like a handful. But there's a whole world outside of whatever your particular viewing schedule is. And it's just bizarre. Like, have you ever seen a PewDiePie? Is that his name? I mean, who are these people? I think there's some Christian comedian that does really well. Like, it just blows my mind. I mean, I watched 2 minutes of a creationist cat video today, and I think my face has not left the state of contortion that it was in. Suck my dick, fucking racist. Or he spelled it fucking racist, and it was all in caps. All of you, I'm Mexican, sucks my dick. Okay. Devin, what's the dumbest shit you've ever heard Trump say? Yeah, it's not dumb. Well, yeah, it is dumb. It's more simple and just childish. Uh, he's a bully. He's a egotist. He's a narcissist that is on such a level. I don't even think you can really record how far past the point of normal. I mean, but he's lived an abnormal life. I mean, that guy has left the reservation a long time ago. It reminds me when George Bush Sr. somebody asked him how much milk a gallon of milk costs, and he had no idea. Like he hasn't gone shopping for years, and people try to make it seem like he was detached from life and reality. And I just think that when you're uber rich like that, you're in a bubble, man. You're in your own world. And when you start talking, the second you start saying your name, like in the third person, and he was probably doing that at the age of 5. So I don't even know what level he's at right now. Does Devin ever sleep? Yeah, I'm on a weird schedule because I was up late last night talking to my dad, and yeah, it's not that late right now. It's not even midnight, so I'm here. I'm ready. I might have some people on. If I see somebody in this chat that wants to chat with me, I might invite you on. Devin, can you talk about your favorite movie, album, book, or whatever? Book is going to be a stretch, man. I'm not a reader. I'm like Sarah Palin, man. I just don't read. I'm not compelled by it. Never got into the habit. I read through school, but it was begrudgingly. I don't read for pleasure. I do recognize that it's possible, but my last book experience was a bad one. It's fucking ridiculous. I read Gone Girl, which, to add insult to injury, Ben Affleck did the movie the movie adaptation of Gone Girl. And the people at NPR, I listened to the podcast on NPR, they were telling me Gone Girl's amazing. Oh, the twist in Gone Girl, you got to read it. It's fantastic. Turns out it was like this feminist regressive that was telling me that. The book is awful. And seriously, 10 pages in, I was thinking, I think I could write a better book. I'm not kidding. And I don't say that to sound cocky. I honestly think that if I set my mind to it, I could write a superior book. She was saying shit like it was the greatest thing. There was one moment in there. It's a woman author, right? And she's writing from a woman's perspective. And there's a scene where she talks about this guy who's cheating on his wife with a young woman, like this young co-ed, right? This college girl. And they fuck and stuff. But afterwards, and she's writing from the guy's perspective. So she's trying to write as if she's a man. And she goes, the sex was okay. It got the job done with this young woman, beautiful young woman. But there's something about it. The young woman didn't have the experience. She didn't know her way around. And she lacked the sort of the grace and the sexual wisdom that comes when you're an older lady. It was just like such wishful thinking. And it showed such a profound lack of understanding as to what is gratifying sexually for men. It was just, it's like the last thing a guy would think after fucking some hot co-ed. But Devin, Sargon of Akkad has done a survey of his viewers' age, sex, and politics. Can you do one for yours? How would I do that? How would I do a survey? Explain that to me. I would. I mean, I already know I think the age and the gender. But as far as political stuff, yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd be scary, actually. I mean, usually I get flamed by Bernie supporters and Trump supporters. And I have a couple people who are in line with me. And they tend to be people of my generation. Shut the fuck up, Devin, says somebody who they did not leave their name. They were willing to acknowledge my name, and they've come here to listen to me talk, and they've just told me to shut the fuck up. So I will take that on board and consider that in the future. Devin, please make a video talking only about movies that you love for like 40 plus minutes. Thank you, John David's son. I will consider that. I love movies. It's a passion. I don't see how anybody could not. I need to catch up with some of the newer ones. I want to see the latest Ricky Gervais film, Special Correspondence, which was like a direct TV film he did, because I love Ricky. But I'd like to see some of the more acclaimed ones and see what all the buzz is about. So yeah, I will consider that. I just posted this longest video about South Africa and rape. I think it's the longest video I've ever done. I had to split it into 2 parts because the audio was fucking up on the render, and I had no idea why. It took me an entire day to render that thing. So yeah, that's the only reason that happened. I don't have a strike or anything. But it was 1 hour and 20 minutes. And I was like, damn. So if anybody listens to that, more power to you. I think it's just like security guards and truckers basically are listening to that. Devin, why do you support a witch who has killed people and is allied with political Islam? Thanks for your consideration. Well, once again, I'm not out there rallying for Hillary Clinton to rule the universe. I think that with our flawed system, where we're given a ridiculously small number of choices, she is the best choice by far. And she's not a witch, and she hasn't killed people. And by the way, as a president of the United States, it's your job to kill people. Just kill the right people, because there's something called conflict, and there's something called a military. So I'm in favor of killing people. I'm also pro-abortion, not pro-choice, pro-abortion. And she's not allied with political Islam. Come on, I mean, she's a politician. She's allied with a lot of causes that might reflect well on her public, persona, but she's not in favor of Islamism. She's aware of the terrorist Islamic groups out there. She's a religious person, okay? She's a Christian. She's not against organized religion in the way I am. So I have massive disagreements with her, just like I do with every Christian. She's too soft on Islam. I've done videos about this. I think it's ridiculous. She's regressive on many fronts. Her stance on Black Lives Matter is a total joke. I'm glad her husband stood up for her position, her policy positions when it comes to black crime and the freaking super predators out there. Here's Rowan Horn. Hey, Devin, explain Hillary over Trump. I truly want to understand. Well, Rowan, I'm talking about it right now. I mean, over Trump? That statement is so ludicrous to me. That's like saying, why would you prefer Hillary Clinton for president over Charles Manson? Honestly, I view it in the same way, as it's an equal waste of my time to explain to you why I wouldn't vote for Charles Manson. Now, most of the people in this room don't know who Charles Manson is because they're too young. But I'm too young to know who Charles Manson is. He wasn't on my radar. When did that guy get thrown in jail? Like the 70s? But anyway. Yeah, I mean, politics is boring. I don't expect Hillary to save the world or change the world, or I don't expect Obama to either. Political leaders have some influence, but we have checks and balances, and it's not the end of the world. And I don't even live in America, so it's not. Life goes on. Game of Thrones is the beginning, middle, end of the world. That's what you should be focused on. Devin, I really enjoyed the conversation you had with your father. When are you going to do the next conversation? Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised that he actually agreed to do it. I sent him the video. I think it'd be great, actually. I mean, he's a very cool cat, and he's got a lot of stories, and I'm his number one fan. I mean, I'm like, that sounds creepy. I'm your number one fan, but I'm just a huge. I feel very lucky, fortunate to have him as a father, and I was mentioning it in my chat the other night, but I lost my mother when I was very young, 5 years old, and he became. I don't know anybody out there who's lost a parent. I had a stepmother, but she took on a different role. It was not a maternal role. That connection was never there. And so my father took on basically both roles, and my attachment to him was, I don't know, much more almost Shakespearean. It was sort of like, that's the guy. He's my connection to my childhood, my past. He's my teacher. That's the guy. Now, I had other family friends and stuff, but my extended family are all in England and South Africa, so they were sort of out of the picture, which tends to be common for Americans. But yeah. All right, let me check this out. Oh, Taz is in the chat. Taz is ruffling feathers, as usual. Are you a patriot, Devin? Yeah, but what do you mean by that? I mean, the terminology patriot tends to have a negative connotation. And unless you're talking about the late 1700s, why would you say you're a patriot? I mean, the Patriot missile, that's a problematic naming of a instrument of war. I mean, who cares? Yes, I'm pro-America. I'll defend America. I mean, I'm the one. Noam Chomsky is a total cunt. Abby Martin, Robbie Martin, everybody who has negative things to say about America, and just overlook all the positive things America has done. There's no balance. There's no balance in the Force. How great are Daenerys' tits in Game of Thrones? I mean, they're okay. I mean, she's a young woman, and I don't think her body is ideal by any stretch. I think she's sort of squat. I think she's a fidget. I think she's shaped like an eggplant. I mean, look, to be fair, it's an eggplant I would fuck happily, repeatedly. Her tits are lopsided, askew, not exactly firm or luscious. I mean, compare her tits to the Red Woman, and Daenerys looks like just a back alley Sally. I think that's how they phrase it in Game of Thrones. So yeah, you definitely want to fuck the Red Woman a million times. And by the way, this Red Woman is in her 30s. Okay, we're seeing her post her prime, physical appearance wise. Go back and look at that actress, that Dutch actress from a couple years back. Look, by the way, the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, Nazi film, good film about the attempted assassination of Adolf Hitler. She plays the wife of Tom Cruise's character in that movie, and she is smoking hot. I mean, it makes you want to become a Nazi, but there's 1,000 other reasons to want to become a Nazi. You don't need that one. Evalion, which brings me back to Evalion. I mean, she's so over the top with the things she said in her videos. And what's sad is she seemed to have momentum. Like, and apparently she has nothing going on. She's not in school. She has no job. So I think she was going to kind of bank on this being her job, and she could have done it, man. I don't see why I mean, I don't know. If she pops up again, they'll probably shoot her down again, but she could have had 250,000 subs by the end of next month. And you could feasibly make a life out of that, especially if you're 18. What are your spending? What are your bills? What are your expenditures? I mean, it's kind of sucks. Plus, it's a nice shakeup, man. Let's hear some radical opinions. Let's hear. I was interested to hear what she said about National Socialism. By the way, a title which sounds pretty damn good. National Socialism. Isn't that Bernie Sanders? I mean, it sounds better than what they have here in Germany now. Social Democrats? No, the Christian Social Democrats. Isn't that it? The CDU, something? Anyway, it's ridiculous. I'm sure National Socialists have some good parts to their platform, but obviously it gets a little bit muddied with the whole, all that. And we have a Jew in the room. We have Nathaniel, which is nice. A friend of mine who we've discussed the issue of Israel and anti-Semitism several times. How do you figure she's a confirmed troll? Under what? I mean, how? Yeah, see, the thing is, even if she's a troll, it doesn't matter. It's still entertaining. It's still fun to, I don't know, to hear her little voice and to hear these ridiculous things. Like, she's a performer at that point. I mean, what does it matter if it's real or not? It's entertaining. And look, if it helps to crystallize your opinions about the things she's talking about, like, by the way, some of the things she said, like, first of all, her thoughts on Islam, not all that was wrong. I mean, she was kind of spot on with her stuff about Islam, from what I heard. And by the way, her stuff on the Jews too, shockingly, I'm not even that against what she was saying. I mean, look, there's a lot that she said that was totally over the top with the Jews. I mean, she wants to kill them, and she's overly. She's talking about how they control the media and all that, and it tempts. I mean, she's a blatant, admitted anti-Jew bigot, but there are a lot of Jews in media. I mean, they are disproportionately represented. There's nothing evil or wrong about saying that, and there is a Jewish look. There are racial characteristics of the average Jewish person. That's true. I mean, why is that weird to say? I mean, it's so weird. Like, why would people just freak out? It's so, we're still so shell-shocked from the Holocaust that to even say, ooh, there's a Jewish look. In fact, I said this to my girlfriend and her mother, and I said, oh, there's this actor in America. God, what's his name? Oh, he looks really Jewish. What's his name? And they both got super uncomfortable. And we're like, oh my God. And I was like, wait, was something I said? What's wrong? And they're like, you said he looked Jewish. I was like, yeah, he looked Jewish. That's a thing. That's real. Are you kidding me? Go look at freaking Ariel Helwani. Look at Gad Sad. Look at look at Sam Harris. I mean, these people, it's not hard. It's not a mystery. Now, I hope you recognize there's a difference between there's a physical appearance of Jewish people, not all, but huge percentages of, especially when you're talking about certain regional looks, not talking about Jews from Yemen or, the Russian Jews have one look. The Jews of Germany might have a different look. The Jews in New York have a certain look. Okay. There's a big difference between saying that and saying, oh, and also I hate Jews. Oh, and also we should kill Jews. Okay. Now I feel that I am in a position to say this because everybody knows that I am the most pro-Jewish person in the history of humanity. I mean, I have nothing but glowing praise for that group of people. And I'm an anti-theist saying that. Okay, so, and no, and here's the same, it's like with Hillary Clinton. I have a lot of criticism for the religious Jews. I clearly am not, totally in lockstep, which is a weird analogy to use, with everything the Jews do. And I also have some criticism of how insular the Jewish community is. The whole concept of, well, we're the chosen people. This is, I mean, they are the tribe. They're one of the tribes, right? I mean, this is tribalism. This is not a beneficial thing. They are, I mean, J-date J-date is a thing that is needed and wanted, and I guess it's very popular, but I think you might have a little problem with other groups saying, oh no, we're just going to have a dating site that's only with, these types. I have my criticisms, but overall, I think they're amazing. Back to the chat. Devin, are you Jewish? No, I'm not Jewish. I've never been. My father is English. He was an atheist. My father is an atheist, but he spent his whole life being a member of the Church of England, which is basically like saying, don't give a fuck about religion. Never went to church, but you live in a society that is dominated by churchgoers and religiosity, so you have to sort of pretend to play along. Devin, please talk to FemFlow. Okay, well, is he a feminist or not? I must know. Yeah. What else we got here? David Schwimmer is so Jewy. Yes, of course David Schwimmer is Jewy. And David Schwimmer went to Beverly Hills High School. He's a rich Jew. Beverly Hills High School, you want a funny story? I used to live right next to it, like literally like a 30-second walk from it. It is so fortunate. They found oil under the high school at Beverly Hills High. And they built an oil, like, I don't even, some contraption, one of these, I don't know what it even looks like. It looks like a big chimney, but something to tap into the wealth underneath Beverly Hills High. And they colored it, and they put like a mural on the outside of it so it didn't look like Auschwitz. But fucking ridiculous, man. The rich get richer. Okay, so who's a real atheist? Atheism is unstoppable. Have you seen Liquid Demon's videos on Evalion? No. Did he do some satire, some spoofs, some comedy? I do like my Liquid Demons, so yeah, bring it on, man. I just think that Izzy's leaving. Oh, bye, Iz. I just think that it's interesting because it's very easy to say Evalion's wrong. She's the evil person. Obviously she's, and that character or whatever that person is, fake or not fake, is clearly insane, hate-filled, incorrect. But not everything she says is incorrect, and that's what's interesting. And the criticism of her, you can obviously people will just say, big picture, this woman's insane, but some of the reasons they say she's insane are not valid reasons. Femflow's here. Okay. Yeah. I'm up for it if you just let me know if you're a feminist or not. Liquid is a fucking genius. Yeah. A lot of these sort of subscribers of mine are just, they produce good content, man, and I enjoy it. Sometimes I wish I could get around to it more. A lot of it just slips through the cracks. I'm just not aware of it. Devin, how often do you watch secular talk? Only when I want to hate watch something and get the juices flowing. I like to check in. Sometimes I like to check in just to see the post-mushroom cloud after the Bernie collapse, and just to hear the talking points come up over and over again. It's difficult, y'all. It's difficult to keep talking because you run into the limitations of your mind, and you hear yourself saying the same thing. Now that's sad, but it's a reality of just how a human brain works. I mean, you have to be confronting yourself with new ideas, new arrangements. So I'll talk to this feminist dude, and I'll see what he's got to say. But I don't want to just sit there and tell you my talking points. I mean, if you're a subscriber of mine, you know what I have to say. Devin, make some Atheism 1.0 vids for old time's sake. Yeah, I might. There's some crazy Christians, man. I was watching G-Man the other day. G-Man talking to Creation's cat. I'm just sitting there going, damn, man. Damn, it's embarrassing. With every passing month, the Christians sound more and more archaic. And just to take the time to go back to that group of people and try to even argue, not even argue, to even bitch slap them is giving them too much respect. What power do they have? I mean, what are they? Why would I be concerned about them? Seriously, ask yourself that. G-Man, a guy who works some menial job in New Jersey City, insane guy, who creates his own baseball caps and wears them. When was the last time he did a video that had more likes than dislikes? I mean, when will that hint drop on his head? By the way, I've challenged him to a debate too, but he doesn't want a piece of me. Okay. Kyle recently did a video about no-go zones in Denmark and what he says that don't exist. I out of that. I mean, sometimes Kyle is less regressive than Cenk and the Young Turks, but he doesn't get off the hook because of that. I mean, that's not saying much, but he will at times. Like, for example, one time they did a story about an anti-Muslim group. They were protesting at a mosque and they brought weapons, and then the Black Panthers showed up and the Nation of Islam showed up, and they brought weapons, and there was like a standoff. And Cenk portrayed the Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam as just responsible, good citizens. Like, these are the good guys who said, hey, screw you, you hate group. Now, Secular Talk, the lesbian, he got up there and he said, now, the Black Panthers are a hate group. Nation of Islam, they're a hate group. So you had two hate groups facing off with weapons. That's bad. Okay, so at least he had the balls to not be so deep into his own bubble that he can't see what happened in a given situation. Like, it would probably be better for him. It's a better story if it's not a hate group from the other side, but it was, and so he played that one fairly. So I give him credit for that. But I have many bad things to say. Okay. Evalion channel is down again. Didn't even have any uploads. What, did she make a new one? Evalion? Is that the breakdown of her name? Is that why it's her name? I could see that because I could see a line being some sort of a white pride thing, and Eva could be a woman's name. Huh. Don't know. Rue, opinion on the new Captain America Civil War movie. I listened to a podcast from NPR. The entire thing was about that film. They said they loved it, actually. They said it was very good. And so I have high hopes for it. I mean, I'm not really super into any of that superhero stuff, the Avengers and all that. I mean, I read the comic books as a kid, but I'm just not, the series has Jeremy Renner in it. Now, it also has Scarlett Johansson, but come on. By the way, I was watching Family Guy, I think the latest Family Guy, and Seth MacFarlane is exactly on board with the anti-Jeremy Renner. And he did a whole segment about, hey, what are we going to do after Matt Damon left The Bourne Identity? Who are we going to get? They're like, oh, we got this guy here. He's the eighth biggest star in Avengers, shoots the arrows. They're like, yeah, well, is he good looking? And they're like, looks like a young Popeye. And he's like, yeah, okay, that'll surely work. Anyway. What do you say about Evalion? Somebody just got here apparently. Yeah, so basically, I just think that it's, she's a lightning rod, and her videos were atrociously awful and hate-filled and so over-the-top racist that it was entertaining. And I don't see any reason to shut it down. I mean, people they literally don't like freedom. They don't want it. They want freedom so far as it's nice freedom. I want to hear nice things. I say more of her. I want more of her. I should interview her. Why? I mean, that would be interesting. She's probably getting a lot of requests, though. I mean, I bet a bunch of people are trying to interview her now to get popular, but I don't know. Devin, what are your thoughts on Erdogan? Hate him. I mean, everything I've heard from the guy sounds like he's a total asshole. I don't study him or know a lot about him. Devin, Evalion is a good friend of mine, so I could talk about her if I was on the stream. Okay, a good friend. How long does it take to become your good friend? You've known her a very short amount of time. Devin, stop sucking Evalion's dick. Why? Why? I think it's a good thing. I mean, why not, man? Let's hear every opinion. Let's shoot them all down. By the way, did you hear Dave Rubin did a segment where all his fans, he interviews fans of the Rubin Report, but he wanted to make it very diverse, very eclectic. So it's like a blind French woman of color, and it's an Egyptian ex-Muslim, and it's a, he spread it around like that. He's funny. Devin, never heard your voice this calm before. Very calm. Somebody said that I sounded different when I was talking to my father. Like, are you telling me that me yelling at a fat, regressive buffalo I should sound the same as I should talking to my father? Gavin McInnes. Yeah, Gavin McInnes for the friggin' win, man. Love that guy. I don't even care. Whatever differences I have with him don't matter at this point. It really doesn't matter. It's like Douglas Murray. Like, Douglas Murray enjoys cock. Okay? We have disagreements, and I don't care. I will raise that man above my head, mount him on my shoulders, and carry him into the battlefield of ideas. So when somebody is right on so many topics, the stuff that they're wrong about or that you feel they're wrong about, in my case, whatever I say you're wrong about, you tend to be wrong about. Not tend, you are wrong about. It just fades away. It withers and dies. It doesn't matter. Devin is a troll. Everyone knows he's voting for Trump. Yeah, it's sad. My dad asked me if I was going to vote in the election, if I can vote from out here, and I was like, I hope I don't have to. But if the polls are neck and neck, or even anywhere close to being threatening to Hillary, I'm going to be doing video after video bashing Trump, and I'm going to make it my personal goal to turn all of you Trump supporters. And I know I have your ear. I know that there are many of you out there, the non-believer, Rowan, guys who I know are voting for Trump. I think I saw Billy Bong said he'd vote for Trump. Devin, are you angry? No? Why? What should I be angry about? I'm angry that Trump exists. Devin, what comedians do you love? Comedians that I love. I'm a Chris Rock guy. Back in the day, I was into Eddie Murphy, of course. His VHS, Delirious, and Raw were fantastic. I'm a Will Ferrell guy. I'm a Jim Carrey guy. Austin Powers, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey. I mean, SNL is really they've pumped out so much good stuff. I love the modern cast of SNL. But I'm a Ricky Gervais guy. I'm a Monty Python guy, obviously. I guess that's not like straight stand-up guys. Nowadays, I think Bill Burr is overrated. Jim Jeffries, he's okay. I'm not super enthralled by those guys. I like some of the, I don't know, people that are consistently good. I don't know. Some of the women that disappoint me with their plagiarism. Who's that chick? Like, I like some Sarah Silverman in Doses. I like some of the roast comedians. It's hard, man. It's hard to be funny. There's a new hot up and coming prospect, a guy named Jimmy Dore. Really edgy, very like he'll take chances with his comedy, and every utterance, like within, if he gives 2 jokes out of 3 jokes, I'm going to be laughing out loud, guaranteed, on one of them. Like, the guy is instant tears of joy. So yeah, Amy Schumer, I don't like it. And I think, honestly, with Amy Schumer, I think she is not at peace with the negative tsunami she's gotten. I don't think it's comfortable. I don't think it's easy for any person to receive as much negativity as she has, even in the light of receiving so much positivity and laughter and applause and millions of dollars. She hasn't handled it well. She is not okay with how she looks. I don't care how she wants to spin it. She's the fat girl. She's the ugly girl. She has deep-seated problems, and I feel it. I feel that in her comedy. Now, I will grant you that most comedians have, skeletons in the closet. They are fucked up. They have troubled past. They have been traumatized. But some of them have handled it well, and they've coped with it. And I just don't think she has. I think she has anger in her, and there's a desperation in her, and I don't like it. Devin, please chat to FF. Okay. Oh, we got a Nazi in here. We have achieved Nazidom. 0 subscribers, really, for SS Freedom Fighter? You think? What's up with your sub count, bro? Come on, man. Start putting out some content. Tell me why I should be a Nazi in today's day and age. I'm here, man. I live next to Syrians. I have access to some Germans and some, I can make some moves and start a little grassroots organization out here. Okay, please do it. Yeah, thank you. Devin, please sing Take On Me. Take On Me is actually a hard song to sing, and if you listen to my outtakes of the song I did with Tang, it's difficult, man. There's some high notes in there. So please don't try that at home. Did you watch the UFC on Saturday? Of course I did. You know I did. That's actually why I'm up right now, because I stayed up and watched that. And I was on my feet when Stipe Miocic knocked out Fabricio Verdum, and just beautiful. It was a right cross, nailed him. Fabricio was coming at him very sloppily, reaching, lunging, desperate. He had been clipped shortly before, but he got knocked out, lights out. Lights out the same way that Junior Dos Santos knocked him out. Fell like a sack of potatoes. This Brazilian schmuck who he hadn't fought for a year, just won the championship and spent a year just taking photos and bragging and enjoying that lifestyle. And he got knocked the fuck out by a Croatian, by a big ass, 245-pound Croatian guy who's actually not Croatian. He's American. He's from Cleveland. He's like a hick. Sounds like Chuck Liddell. And he's like, yeah, America, America. I'm the champ. I'm the world champ. And yeah, it was priceless to see that. Just a powerful guy, man, because he's a heavyweight that looks like a light heavyweight. His body, his proportions, the shape that he keeps himself in, his cardio, he's an athlete. He looks like he's 210 pounds, but he's not. He's just bigger. So you got to love that. And the other fights were fabulous. The Brazilians were raping everybody. Some scary jiu-jitsu on display. Good violence. I got my violence. And I needed that violence because I was disappointed from the Eurovision result with the Ukraine beating Australia. Devin, what would you do if Trump won? I would facepalm and cringe and make videos, and I would probably move to Germany. Oh, wait. Do you love me, Devin? I don't know you, but the chances are you're unlovable and unworthy of my love. Devin, do you think there should be any restricciones to free speech? Very few. I mean, some common sense things. Speaking in public is a different thing. That's, this whole thing about shouting fire in a movie, I can understand that is a distraction and a violation of just, I don't know, it's like noise pollution at a certain point. By the way, they should ban motorcycles and the people that try to rev up their engines like that. But the thing about a movie theater is it's public. The thing about YouTube, it's not really public. It's private, it's voluntary, it's consensual. You don't have to be there. So it's not anything like yelling fire in a movie theater. And it's, hate is in the eye of the beholder, and people get caught up in this hate word. And is it speech or is it hate speech? Ooh. Who's going to decide that? Well, what it basically boils down to is it positive speech or is it negative speech? Disregard, is it righteous negativity? No, forget that. That's not the question. Is it negative in nature? If it is, there's going to be a certain section of society that will say, you're not allowed to say that. I mean, that's what they do in Germany. You're not allowed to be negative. If you have criticism of outsiders, then we're going to call you a hate monger, call you a xenophobe, call you a bad word, and then make you the problem, the messenger of the problem. If any of you saw my last video, you should be appalled at what they did to that white judge in South Africa. They're like, how dare she talk about the rape stats in South Africa? I mean, it's unbelievable how dead wrong the target of their condemnation should have been. You're going to do a video about rape in South Africa, and guess who gets off scot-free in the video? The rapists in South Africa. And why did they get a pass? One word, black. It's because they're black. And that's just, you're never going to get a critical video of black people, no matter what. It would take, I mean, dude, I was talking to Creationist Cat earlier. Creationist Cat made a video on his Vadim channel that he took down hours later because me and Joe Live Life went and left comments and said, oh my God, we're going to fucking flame you for this video. He made a video about Vester Flanagan, the black dude who shot and killed 2 white people on air. He was filming it. This guy was a racist, okay? This guy was getting revenge for Dylan Roof. He wanted to start a race war. He had a manifesto, all of it. And Vadim said, no, he's not a racist. I don't see any evidence that he's a racist. I think this is bullshit. I think he was just mentally insane. That was his video. So in other words, a black person could film himself shooting white people and declaring a race war on whites and trying to get revenge for Dylan Roof, and still you'll get the weaklings. And they are so weak, people. And it's not just physical strength. That is the cherry on top of this, is that oftentimes weak people, mentally weak people, are physically weak people too. That's just the beautiful symmetry of that. But it's this attitude where they want to minimize conflict. How can I minimize conflict? I don't really have the ability to do anything about any of these conflicts. Here's one thing I can do: pretend there are no conflicts. Holy shit, why didn't I think of that before? Magnificent. It's like Penn and Teller. Hey, let's make this rabbit disappear. We pulled a rabbit out of it. How can we make it disappear? Well, Teller, I have no ability. I don't have magical powers, Teller. I can't make the rabbit disappear. And it's like, well, how else can we do it? Well, let's fake it. Let's just do a little twist. Let's have a distraction. Here's another thing. We could just distract. Make an explosion go off on stage left. And that's what we see. So that the distraction will be a not all argument. It'll be a vilification of a messenger. It'll be an accusation of racism. So like, instead of Vadim Newquist talking about black crime, he called me a KKK member. He called me that last year. He called me that today. That's his MO. That's what he's comfortable doing. And by the way, then I challenge him to a debate and a live conversation, which he could jump in on right now. And he cowers in fears and doesn't want any piece of me, which is, cool. Devin, I'm your long lost father. Let's go for ice cream sun. Well, I talked to my father last night, and I don't need you in my life. Evalion's a person who reckons the Nazis were right and Hitler was a great man. Well, there is a conversation to be had about the vilification of Hitler. See, once again, this is too, I was about to say the N-word, but it's too advanced. It's too intellectually advanced of an argument for people to understand or hear. But the way Hitler has been treated historically is overkill. I mean, that should be obvious to you people. He is not as evil a character that he has been portrayed. And what he's done is he's soaked up all of the condemnation from everything to do with World War II, that we forgot everybody else who died. Not just died, were murdered in war crimes. So yes, everybody knows what he did was evil. He's a sick son of a bitch that should have been murdered or tortured, he's an awful character. We know that. But even having said that, there are still many other people that deserve our spite from that time period, not to mention throughout modern history. For example, how much attention does that situation get versus the situation in Rwanda? You got 1 million people butchered to death with machetes. Name one person that did that. Name one Rwandanian. Okay, name one. I can't name one. 1 million people dead. So you begin to understand my point. Okay, it's like we love to have a caricature of evil. He is Satan. Okay, he is he's a meme. He's a person that you can compare anybody to. He's an icon of for white guilt. So you're never going to be in a conversation without Hitler being brought up, um, because it's just this. Ooh, know your role, people. Remember that guy. He was one of you. Okay, I see it everywhere here in Germany. In fact, in the video about South Africa, about rape in South Africa, which is done by black people, guess what Cenk brought up? Slavery in America. Brought up slavery in America. I mean, how? How does he get to that? Why would you get to that? And as you know, with Godwin's law, Hitler is always being brought up because people, they just want to leverage the guilt associated with, ooh, that was a bad thing that guy did. Well, guess what? There are many other bad guys doing bad things that get overlooked. Name one person responsible for the Dresden bombings. Name one. Do you even know about the Dresden bombings? Do you know where Dresden is? By the way, Dresden is the home base for Pegida. Um, yeah, I mean, we don't. These people have gotten off scot-free, historically speaking. And part of the reason is because, like a moth to the flame, like just a magnet of hatred and just, what do you call it? Just scapegoating. I mean, Hitler took it all. He took it all. So anyway, those conversations are interesting, but you can't. People are simple. They're too simple for that shit. They'll just be like, "Oh, Hitler, bad. Yeah, move on." There's more to it than that. Americans fucked up Dresden badly with firebombs. Yep. It's a beautiful city, by the way. I went there and spent a few days. It's got a river, beautiful bridges, architecture, wide open squares, just very old city, very but beautifully decorated, powerful buildings. I mean, it's pretty awe-inspiring place to be, and it's mixed with modernity. So they've blended those two things nicely. Devin, am I Jewish? Yes. Your name is Jacob. Jacob is a First Testament sort of name. So yes, you are. Hitler shot himself. Cannot say anything about that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm anti-Hitler. Good Lord. What else we got? Devin, have you ever been to Switzerland? Yeah, a few times. Spent some time in Zurich, Basel, of course, many times. And it's very expensive there, but it's very nice, and they got quite a culture and quite a currency. They've got quite a thriving society. I'm impressed. As a fan of yours, Devin, what are your thoughts on socialism and communism? I'm personally not a fan, but I was wondering what you thought on it. Socialism, it makes sense. Here's the thing: you have to care about your society, your in group. Is it a manageable size? Do you have common traits and values with this group that you are determined that you want to be social with? Because if not, it's going to be problematic. Sharing of wealth for the common good. Yeah, I mean, on paper, it's a great idea, but the more you multiply people and behaviors and attitudes and death cults, as that number rises, the effectiveness of any system like that begins to fail. It's just not. Part of me wants to acknowledge that we are animals and it's a dog eat dog world and it's every man for himself, or more accurately, every family for themselves, which is the way it's always been. And we form little communities and pockets and all that, but when you start breaking it out to larger things like America or the Roman Empire or the European Union, and let's all divvy up our money in such a way, and it's the details. It's like, okay, well, how much money? Who's making those decisions? How is it being spent? Why is it being spent? What is the ideology of the system in place? Things like healthcare makes total sense, absolute sense. If you've lived in Europe, you've seen the system out here and in America, there's just no comparison. I'm not talking about the quality of healthcare. Obviously, America is top of the charts with that. It's just the system of getting that healthcare in an affordable manner to the citizens, and more importantly, the priority. The way America has prioritized healthcare is obscene. It should be number one. It should be like healthcare and national defense. It should be 1 and 1A. and it's not. It's so not anywhere close to that. And you can tell our value system is based in our budget. Look at our budgets. Look at the Republican platform, where they're talking about we need to add more money to the military. And I mean, you can't even cut the growth rate of the military without getting a huge backlash. So the communism, though, I mean, that's just good try. Nice try. How many times does that have to pop up and fail before people just give up on that? And once again, that's just taking it to the extreme. It was an attempted system of organizing humans and collectively working out a system that benefits everybody. And I guess promotes the most amount of happiness and thriving. It never worked. And it doesn't work. And I'm sure there are experts out there. I'm sure there are books written on that if you want to get hyper specific and actually find out the reasons why the cogs of those wheels sort of break down and fall apart. That is boring to me. I mean, political science, I mean, Jesus, not my area of expertise, but more power to you. I think there's a balance to be had with capitalism and socialism. And I think that striking that balance is probably somewhere in between Europe and America, with a leaning towards Europe. That's what I would say. Devin, you are pathetic. I guess you can't make a point. And the person that said that is, guess what? Shocking, an anime icon, which means that they are socially retarded, most likely a virgin, sexually frustrated, young, sheltered, and unwilling to face me. If you would like to come onto this hangout right now and tell me that to my face, vastly hated, I will send you a link. Follow me on Twitter, and I will send you a link. And we'll find out what your name is, first of all, and then you could back up your claim. I'll confront you. In fact, fuck it. Let's bring somebody on here. I'm sick of talking. Devin, I would vote for you for president. Thank you. I'm only going to run for emperor, though. It's emperor or bust for me. Onision made a video encouraging his fans to flag Evalion. I know, and he made that video all proud of himself. Like, aren't I the social justice warrior of the day? That was obnoxious. I mean, he should be flagged. Fuck that guy. How does it feel to be the second coming of Hitchens? Ha! That's insulting. Yeah, I mean, Hitchens is on obviously another level. But the thing is, Hitchens, you have to acknowledge why you like Hitchens. There's many reasons to like him. He's a brilliant man. And I take that compliment, and I thank you for that. But the thing is, Hitchens was an eloquent man. He was a debater, an expert debater. He was a investigative journalist. He was a public speaker, a world traveler, an intellectual. I mean, a classic intellectual, a guy who challenged the status quo, and a rabble rouser, a rebel, a freaking. He was just a one-of-a-kind sort of character. And, but on top of all that, what he said was absolutely spot on. So he was right on the things he said. And he was brave to say these things and in the way he said them. So to even think about comparing yourself to Hitchens, find a debater, find a guy who's an Oxford grad, who's an investigative journalist, world traveler, who goes on the media circuit and, has taken on and won all these battles that he has won. I'm just a friggin' private citizen YouTuber guy who yaps on YouTube. So, it's not exactly a fair fight there, but I would never even want to fight the guy. I mean, I yield. I yield obviously to Christopher Hitchens. Jesus Christ. Hey, I'm new, but what do you think of Evalion's coming back? But do you think Evalion's coming back? I think she is. Yeah, there's no doubt. It's just in what way. Fuck. See, it's kind of weird though, because she can't do like a podcast. She's never going to be on iTunes or, they're going to bounce her immediately for hate speech. I'd say, I don't know, live leak it. Do something, please. Okay, who wants to come on here? Devin, do you know if TYT watch your videos? No, they're narcissistic, egotistical. My videos are too long for them to watch. They get the gist of it. They know I'm ripping them. They might raise an eyebrow, and because a lot of you guys will tweet at them sometimes, videos, and so and after the years, I mean, years have gone by, so they must know that they have people who are dedicated to pushing back against their regressive agenda, which I'm happy to carry the flag into battle on that. Devin, I will debate you. Okay, well, tweet me. Debate me. You debate me about what? About your sex life being so pathetic? Get in here, you little cunt, but you better you have to say your name. That's the only caveat. I don't want to give a platform for the friggin' anonymous anime icon. Devin, are you excited for Preacher on AMC this Sunday? No, what is Preacher? No idea what that is. AMC, I mean, don't they do Mad Men? There's way too many channels, way too much content out there to keep track of everything. So I am not aware. Here, he's behind on the Evalion stuff. Yes, he is. He must catch up. Who wants to come on here, state your case? I will check my Twitter. Twitter. Let's see who's talking to me. Who's calling me a racist now? Oh my God! A guy named Black Nigga Magic wants to come on the hangout. If you state, I'll tell him if you state your name, and I will invite on Black Nigga Magic. But I fear that conversation. What will happen there? In getting a Skype message here. Okay, trying to figure out who is going to come on here. Got to get ready to socialize with another human being. It's very scary. Skull, is he on here? If Anthony's on here, I'll give him a link. Do you like the X-Files? Oh yeah, I have to catch up. I watched the first 5 or 6 episodes of the remake season, but it's kind of it falls short. And this goes back to what I was saying about it's hard to be original. It's hard to keep coming up with new stuff. And X-Files ran out of that shit years ago, decades ago. I mean, I feel bad for them. You cannot do there was an alien abduction over and over again. And they've done every way. I mean, they must sit in brainstorm sessions with the writers and they're just like, oh, fuck, what can we do? Here's an idea. Let's have some sexual tension between Scully and Mulder. It's like, oh my God, we've done it. We've done it all. Devin, you need to try to team up with Gavin McInnes. He doesn't need a team, man. He's a one-man wrecking crew. And but I definitely see why I like him. I see. I think we come from a similar perspective, and he has just doesn't give a fuck attitude, which I love. Love his attitude. Love how he adds follow-up questions. And he, similar to Hitchens, Gavin McInnes, is right on the things he's saying. So forget his presentation, which is very funny. He's a very comedic guy. Forget his brashness, which Hitchens had, his boldness. But when you actually listen to what he's saying, you look at the transcript of what he says. Forget how he's being presented. He's right. And that's powerful, man. I mean, that is lasting. You can't just be all show. You have to actually have substance. And that's why I rip into Vadim Newquist. He has neither. He has neither show nor substance. Okay. What do we got? New season is okay. I'm going to go buy it. Hey, Devin, my name is Maximilian Be Real. I was tagged you on Twitter. Okay. Well, let me see. I'm going to check these Twitter people. Okay. I'm going to send out. I'm going to take a gamble on a dude. Are you guys ready? Oh, I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it. I'm going to follow this dude. He was willing to state his name. He says he has some stories about regressives. Now, anybody else, if you want to get on, just let me know in this chat and I'll catch you. Paste, send, and we are now playing the waiting game, which is different than the crying game. Anybody seen that movie? Good one. Age of Reason. It's not Devin's job to fix the problems within the Black community. Are you implying that to be able to address the problem, you also have to fix or have to have the solution? That would be stupid. Yes, exactly. Who said it was my job to fix the problem of Black crime? But that is what's being said all the time. So that's what's being said about everything, because it's like, hey, Snowden, why aren't you fixing the spying infrastructure? Why aren't you fixing the NSA? I'm the whistleblower, dude. Hey.
Evan?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How's it
Can you
going?
hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, good. Cool.
Now you have an anime icon.
It's not anime, it's a game, and I made this account a few years ago, so
How
just
is
too
that?
lazy to change it.
How is that not anime? And are you saying that you're embarrassed by that game now?
I'm not embarrassed. I like that game. Just I would change it to my real name and my Twitter picture, but I just haven't had the time.
What new games are you playing?
Um, uh, well, I was playing Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess earlier, and I play CS:GO.
This is a foreign language you're speaking to me. CS:GO, what is that?
Counter-Strike Global
Ah,
Offensive.
Strike. Have they come back? Are they competitive? Is it a good game?
Oh yeah, it's very competitive.
No, I'm saying like competitive to the other shooter games out there.
Oh, well, it's it's kind of like there's no aiming down sights, so it's just all using the reticles, and it's a very interesting recoil system where you have to like train your aim and stuff. But yeah, I spent probably way too much time in it. And
Mhm.
yeah,
So you're a gamer?
I hate that term, but I guess so.
What is the alternative to gaming? Gamer as a label.
Nothing really. I mean,
How
just
about a
the
video
term,
gamer?
a video gamer. That sounds more retarded. But yeah.
So you hide this? Like, is this not on your dating profile?
My dating profile. I don't have a dating profile.
Why?
Why? I don't know. I just
Well,
don't have one.
well, are you satisfied with your dating life?
Not at the moment, but I don't feel the need to go out
Ah,
and explore things right at the
so
moment.
so you're part of the sexodus,
What's that?
the exodus of people from actively pursuing sex in real life. Like, in other words, you have your video games, you have your porn, you're good.
For now,
Ah,
I mean that
you're biding your time, and then you're going to unleash hell on the outer world.
exactly,
So,
exactly, dude.
is this what kind of a track record do you have with women? Is it have you ever been in a relationship, or are you novice to the whole thing?
I've been in one relationship and that's it.
It was love at first sight.
No, I knew the person for a while and I asked them out, and then now we're still friends.
Are you from the Northwest?
Northwest? No,
Are you from Canada? Are
no,
you from Pennsylvania?
no. I live in San Francisco.
Nice. Okay. Cool. That's a good city to be in. You lucked out. Are you actually in the city, or are you outside?
Oh yeah, yeah. I live in the city.
Well, okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. I came on here. Well, I didn't. You invited me on here, which thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
Um,
My pleasure.
I go to a school, and recently, well, I mean throughout, but most recently, they've been trying to push a lot of PC regressive stuff in our faces, and I mean,
What
I know.
what what grade are we talking?
I'm going into high school next year.
Oh Christ, you're a baby.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Okay.
But I
And
mean, I,
is this the teachers that are pushing this, or is it the classmates?
well, there's someone who came into our school last year. He has the job title of Director of Diversity and Inclusion.
Mhm.
And the school kind of changed since then. And recently we watched like 3 videos about race, and there was like this chubby feminist chick who was talking about institutionalized racism, and they had us all watch that in class and then had us discuss it. It
Ooh,
was
do you remember
hilarious.
any of the talking points?
They said they were like black people have been discriminated against like since slavery, and
Oh, they went back
yeah,
to it.
yeah,
They went
yeah,
back.
yeah,
Yeah, that was institutional racism. I'll grant you
yeah.
that.
And they're like, I'm
Man.
not even sure this is a problem now, but like they're like black people have been discriminated when getting home loans, and so that's why. and poverty is a reason. So, okay, basically black people are stuck in their communities because they can't ever go out because they are discriminated against by the institution, which institution was vague and never really defined. It's just like the system.
How does that logic work out as far as the home loans thing? Because I thought, if anything, they were the ones getting the home loans. Like, that's what created the housing bubble, where you had these kind of bullshit loans were being handed out, and they obviously never could get paid back, and then the whole system collapsed. But as far as discrimination, as far as loans go, is that the dog at the door?
That's my keyboard. I'm trying to find the video.
Okay. I mean, everybody knows that black people are not economically as strong as other groups of people. I mean, nobody's denying that. So why would anybody be shocked that something that requires good financials you'd see a disparity in the numbers? See, once again, people see a disparity in numbers, and then they just start spitballing ideas on why that is the way it is. And they want to say it's racism. They want that to be the answer to most everything. It's so easy, because what happens at the end of that? They don't actually do anything about it. They don't go and like, okay, let's find people and actually make changes to the system. No, they just say, and the answer is racism. So stop being racist, world. That's it. That's the end of their analysis of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and then after that, our teacher went on some kind of rant about how white people can't be discriminated. Well, they can't be discriminated against. They can't feel racism. And when like racism is directed towards them, that's not racism. It's just prejudice, because they don't have the system to back that up. And it's just like, what? For real?
Yeah, it's the typical narrative. Now, do you feel, I could see why you would not feel the urge to speak up against that. Not that you could in that format. You're basically being lectured to.
Oh, well, I have another interesting story. So this is like the most ridiculous thing ever, dude. So the other day, this happened fairly recently. There were two people. It sounds really retarded at first, and it gets more retarded. So there are two people sitting in these seats. They left. Their stuff was there, and me and my friend decided to move their stuff over and take their seats. I mean, it was an asshole thing to do, and I realized that, and I apologized for that. But then, they're normally pretty chill people, and they just started like ignoring me. So I was like, "What's up?" And then after the class, they had me and my friend sit down, and they talked to us, and they're like, "Because you two are white, we feel like that there was a race thing there."
Oh my God. Well, welcome, dude. Welcome to the rest of your life. It's great that you're spotting it this early, because you have to be part of the backlash movement. I'm telling you, dude, it's the Empire Strikes Back. This cannot stand. And San Francisco is such a PC cesspool. But I mean, man, I mean, you know what you should do? Just give them a comparison of crime stats in San Francisco versus Oakland.
One of my friends, they were my friend, which is surprising why they did this, and they started crying. It's like every time I said the word race, and like I said, "Are you implying that we're racist and stuff?" And they started like bawling their eyes out, and I thought that was kind of hilarious, though I didn't express that at the time.
Yeah, I think honestly, here's the really uncomfortable truth in the air. A lot of this is about who's better than who. Okay, so it's like, let me beat my chest and say my group is better than your group. So it's a superiority thing. That's what people are talking about. Who's racially superior? Now, if you look at the track record of these two races, it looks from the outside that one is doing unbelievably better than the other. Now, how do you want to characterize that? Okay, in terms of any way you want to break it down, IQ, national success, innovation, technological advancement, just if you go across the board from all these things. And so that's just the facts on the ground. Everybody's aware of that. I don't have to mention that to you people. Everybody knows that. Now, those are the massive trends. So any white person that says anything about race, it triggers their personal knowledge of the facts on the ground about the historical track record of both of these races. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so it's just uncomfortable, and they want excuses. And what are their main excuses? we are being oppressed by white people, and if only the white people would just get off our backs and release us from our slavery or whatever bullshit historical thing they're going to throw out, then we would be doing just as well. We'd have nations comparable to Sweden and Japan and Germany. It's like, where are they? Why didn't that happen? What is going on here?
I mean, I kind of feel bad. I kind of regret not doing this, but I could have turned it around and said, I feel like you guys are being anti-Semitic because I'm Jewish.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you should. I mean, throw that card up there and be like, look.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, and so the Jews are in the same boat. I mean, like, the Jews do super well everywhere they go. Everybody knows that. They make more money. They do better on all these different metrics that you want to grade them on. And it's like, people are jealous. They're just jealous, man. And that's really what it comes down to. Humans are emotional. We operate on emotions and not rationality. And we're tribal. And people want to be more important than they are. And if they personally are not doing so hot, guess what? They're gonna widen it out and say, well, I'm not doing so good, but Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, or we bombed the hell out of Kuwait one time. It's like, well, you didn't do that, so why are you proud about that?
Yeah, I mean, and this one of the girls who we took our seats, she's like, she does a really bad in our school, and then she always like, all the teachers hate me because I'm black, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. No, you're just a terrible student. Like,
yeah, I mean, people. Well, she's riding the victim complex, and she's going to hold on to that narrative, and it's going to be there always for her as an excuse as to why she failed on any given thing. And it's sad. It's like, look, just because I just mentioned this, there's a lot of people that probably be triggered by what I just said, and it's like, sorry that that's the way it is, but it is the way it is. Now, don't have a problem with me. I didn't set it up like this. This is not how I said, here's how I want the world to be. Here, I want this group to be doing this, and I want this group. I don't care. Like, if I told you Japan was doing amazing, you're aware that Japan is like first world, frigging accelerating, awesome country, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do I care if they're doing great? Like, if they were like North Korea, if Japan was like North Korea, it doesn't matter to me personally. I'm not affected either way. It just happens to be doing amazing. Just like South Africa happens to be doing awful. Just like most every other nation in Africa is doing horrible. But the facts are ugly. The facts are damning, and they're very far removed from what's happening in Western or European nations. And so people just aren't comfortable with it. And people like you get on the tail end of that shit. So because you happen to be white, you get this flack, and you're sitting there in school just trying to like make it to recess. You're not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm so done with my school. Like, I'm about to leave, and all the bullshit that's happened. Like,
oh really?
I got suspended for cyberbullying earlier this year.
Fucking hell!
That was a ride.
Wait a minute, cyberbullying. Every tweet I do is a cyberbullying act.
I mean, like, oh, you know what? You want to know what I did?
What'd you do?
I posted a fucking edit of my face over one of the kids in the grades below me with his girlfriend, because I was like, I think it's retarded for fucking 7th graders to be dating. And I was like, I put some filter over it and I posted it, and then I got suspended.
Wow. So somebody narked on you, reported it, and then you get, actually from school, you get suspended.
Yeah, they called my dad in after class, and they like had full color screenshots printed out.
That's so bullshit. Such a witch hunt. It's undeserving, man. But you got to lay low. I don't know, man. Be anonymous all the time. Do what you gotta do.
I mean, like, I thought it was hilarious. I really just got to stay home and do whatever I wanted. But like,
garbage.
It's just like, well, it just makes me mad to think about,
For sure. Hey, how did the Asians doing in your school? Do they get any of this racism accusations, or are they off scot-free?
There's one Asian girl in my class. It's very small, a very small school, and she does terrible. And she'll just joke about herself, and she'll be like, I'm an Asian, or I'm doing well, and stuff like that. And I don't know. She's like, I don't know. Is it a religious school? Why is it so small? No, it's a private school, small private school.
Oh, so see, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Jewish guy. His family has money. They live in San Francisco, very nice city on the West Coast, and he's getting
Oh
a
my god.
sheltered, pampered life. But now it's backfiring because he's getting this uber liberal education. And honestly, like, if you want to rebel against something, go to San Francisco. Like, I went to Berkeley for my first year of college, and I basically was feeling like I was right wing, hanging out there, because everybody there is so damn left. It's like, are you serious? So yeah, be careful.
Yeah, yeah. What were you
So
saying?
I got some people here that are they're begging me to get in here, but so I might have to. I'm getting a surprising number of swastikas in the chat too, which is a little bit alarming. What are your thoughts on this YouTuber? Have you seen any of her stuff?
No, I'm not actually entirely informed on the situation.
Okay, well, anyway, she's an anti-Semite and really hates the Jews, like super, super duper hates them.
Yeah,
Um,
so what are people are spamming this Leafy guy? I think
okay,
I
who's
used
Leafy?
to. He's this retarded guy who commentates over video games and like reacts to videos, and
Oh, okay.
it's god awful stuff.
Yeah, what is that, man? A lot of people just put up video game footage and they talk over it, and it's just like, it was weird. People are mesmerized by it. I don't understand why that's so compelling.
I watched it. I watched like a few of his videos earlier in the year,
Mhm.
and then I was like, okay, it's just going downhill. Well, it was always going downhill, but it's getting even worse, and
What's
just
his
stopped.
what's his ideology? What's his thing?
He doesn't have an ideology. He just puts together a video and uses clickbait titles, and it's like the
Ah,
cringiest man ever. And then you click on it, and he gets millions of views. Like,
yeah, I think once some of these things just grow because they grow. They grow like the same way a snowball grows when it's rolling down a mountain. Just people watch because other people watch, and now it becomes a sort of YouTube event. You just got to go see the train wreck.
yeah.
But maybe I'll check him out. I'll see if he's got any relevant content. Maybe I'll critique him.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, well,
do
I'm
you
not sure.
do you
It's like,
face? Go ahead.
yeah,
I was just
no,
wondering,
it's yeah.
I was just
Sorry,
wondering if you face any anti-Semitism on a daily or yearly basis.
not in San Francisco, that's for sure.
Are
I mean,
you? But are you a
like,
believing Jew, or how does that work?
no. I'm very much an atheist, like you.
Okay.
Um, I found your videos, and then like I started pointing out some stuff, and then everyone started getting mad at me in my school, and they're like, just let us have our opinions. Don't need to be
Yeah.
so mean. And I was like, but it's the way I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you seem very mild mannered and calm. I mean, I tend to lash out and go aggressive on these people, but you
Well,
could you could present the points and just sugarcoat them a bit and be like, have you ever considered this? You know?
yeah. Well, I was about to like during that time when those people were calling it a race thing after school.
Mm.
Like I was about to get mad, but my friend like calmed me down, and then I was just like calm the entire time while they started just like bawling their eyes out. It's
Hmm.
pretty.
Yeah. So, by the way, your suspension, if you get another one, like, are you facing ejection from the school?
I mean, 14 days left. If I did something stupid enough, well, nothing I did was really stupid, but like, yeah, it would go on my high school record, and then
Oh
they
God.
might like,
Do you have
uh,
do you
like, mhm.
do you have plans on going to a good college, or is that not in the?
I have no idea.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, uh, it's very competitive here just to get into high school. Like, you have to do a whole application project process. You have to
Okay.
do a test, and yeah,
Damn. Brutal. Well,
yeah.
I support you, man. Jewish atheist from San Francisco. I'm
All
glad to
right.
have you as a subscriber. I'm gonna get this guy on here as a South African. He wants to talk about.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave the call. I have some other stuff to do, but it's great to talk to you, dude. Big
Yeah,
fan.
man. Thanks, man. Cool. Good chatting.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about that cyberbullying, man. Jesus. God, I wish I had the internet when I was growing up. I would have cyberbullied everybody. Oh, I love being a bully. I love bullying people as grown men. Bullying grown men is the funnest thing ever. Okay, I sent a link to another chap, and I'm waiting to hear back from him. But I will investigate the. Anthony is driving back from Austin, so he's not available. But I will check the chat and see who else is interested. What do we got here? I'd let Devin laugh at my small cock. How do I contact you? I'm on Twitter at Tracy Remix, if anybody wants to get a hold of me. To the South African guy, because I don't know. I mean, that situation, everybody, the entire world washed their hands of the situation in South Africa after Mandela was put into power. They're like, and fade to black, literally. Everybody walks off into the sunset, and it's all good. Hello?
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi, Devin. How are you doing?
How's it going, man?
Good, all good.
Beautiful.
You inspired me to move back to South Africa today.
Oh, man. Where did you escape to? Where was your white flight destination?
I'm in the UK.
Nice. And how many years now?
4 years.
Was it a good choice?
Yeah, it was a good choice for the kids.
No regrets.
No regrets. I mean, they can run around outside here and play without problems.
So I'm curious to know, did you watch my video?
Oh, yeah. At the moment I saw those wonderful young Turks put up a video about it, I thought, oh no, you of all people has to do a reply to that, having South African roots.
Yeah, it was especially egregious. I knew I had to do it, but man, it's just, and the thing is, I'm the first to say I don't know everything about South Africa. I mean, I'm a guy from Los Angeles, and I have connections to it, but I'm not on the ground there. So I'd be interested to know what your take on their video was. Like,
they in a nutshell, they just don't fucking get it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, as you like to refer to him, the brown buffalo,
mm-hmm.
make a comparison, using an old term. It's not black culture. He has no idea the difference between black culture in the US, for example, and South Africa.
I think I heard some stats about, it was really funny. It was something about the private security forces in South Africa and how much more of them there are than the police force. So like everybody is hiring these guys to protect them because like it's just chaos in the streets.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet anyone now, if they went onto Google Earth and just randomly zoomed into and went to Street View on one of the major cities, just about every house you see there will have electric fencing. And this is not upper class houses. This is middle class families. It's just the norm there.
Yeah, man. It's gated communities. I remember a couple years back, I was making websites for some porn actresses, and there was this one webcam girl that was doing really good. She was like
Did it come with benefits?
I mean, the only benefit was getting videos from them. But it's like, we live on the internet, so it's not exactly new for us. But once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But this woman was a single mom, and she lived in Johannesburg, and she made good money, especially because versus the rand at the time, it was really good. But she lived in a gated community. She's like, oh, no, I'm safe here. But outside? Oh, fuck no. Yeah, I mean, you better have a gun. Like, gun ownership in South Africa, I'm in favor of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Before moving here, we lived in a gated community house complex, about 40 houses in there. During the day, there was double electric fences on 8-foot high walls. During the day, there was a single security guard manning the gate. At night, there were two, one at the gatehouse and one patrolling. We still had break-ins in the complex.
Okay, so let me ask you, were you shocked by the stats about the rape in South Africa? Or were you just nodding your head and going, yeah, sounds right?
Oh, no, this is one of the things you sort of learn to live with there. It's like, yeah, okay, nothing surprising there. Yeah, we all know about it.
Now, what about the distinction, which Cenk liked to race bait, about blacks raping other blacks versus blacks raping whites? Is there...
It's no holds barred on any color.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, it's not like in Western countries where most house break-ins are just for a junkie to get their fix, basically. There it's organized crime. You'll get 6 guys coming into the house, knowing where everything is, armed to the teeth. And very often it happens where the man of the house gets killed, the woman and daughters all get raped and then killed. I mean, it's systematic like that, house break-ins.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, just to hear that happened one time is horrifying, but to know that that's a trend. And this 53 murders a day thing, I mean, where is that happening? Is that in the districts? I mean, where?
South Africa's also got a really bad problem with car hijackings. On a lot of roads, the government has actually put signs up saying, pay close attention here, it's a hijack hotspot.
Jesus.
You see them all over the place.
God.
And some of them are so severe now that the criminals don't want to have to deal with someone who might fight back, that they'll shoot you through the window, open your door.
Wow. So Grand Theft Auto is worthy of killing somebody. Like, it's justified.
Oh yeah. You go look online, you'll find videos of people getting hijacked at busy intersections in the middle of the day. Some of them just don't give a fuck. It's not like, let's wait till there's no one else around and jack the next person that comes by.
Wow, that is amazing. I remember I was in Senegal a couple of years ago, and on the freeway, I think I was going from the airport to the city, and there are dudes just hanging outside of cars, just like standing outside on the back of a car on the freeway. I was just like, damn, man, what is going on here? Just
gets you where you need to go quicker.
Yeah, it's just the rules are so different in Africa in general.
And that's what the Young Turks don't understand. Especially when Cenk said that oh no, it's not part of black culture. I'm more black South African culture than a black American.
Right, of course. But see, these idiots, they think that they take their paradigm of black and white sort of racial dynamics and they just apply it to, oh, well, there's whites and blacks in Africa too, so I guess it's probably the same over there.
And that it's binary. It's only that. There's no different blacks and different whites. It's all blacks and all whites.
Yeah, and by the way, when these crime stats, how many of it is coming from the local actual South African blacks versus immigrant Africans from other countries? Because I know the Nigerians have a reputation.
Oh, I mean, there's places in Joburg Centre that, you know, have been overrun by Nigerians.
It reminds me of District 9. I mean, they hijack buildings, not just cars. In the centre of Joburg, they go in there and just hijack, sort of steal entire apartment blocks. You know what's funny, man? The Young Turks will do a video, a whole entire video about some tweet that they deem to be racist or mildly racist, and like this kind of shit that you're talking about happens in South Africa doesn't even get a news mention. It's just like whatever. I mean, it's just under the rug, all of that.
Just the apartheid.
Yeah, apartheid. The apartheid, man. Got to watch out for that. Yeah, and so let me ask you, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Why did you decide to leave 4 years ago?
Affirmative action.
So it was something they called the equity hiring?
BEE, Black Economic Empowerment.
Okay. And so is the general thing that they want the demographics of companies to reflect the national numbers in terms of
that's it.
And so,
but bear in mind, it's the only country in the world that's got affirmative action for the majority.
Affirmative action, exactly. That's amazing. That's amazing. And also affirmative action for the people who are least qualified and who don't have the technical skills or experience in half of these fields.
Yeah, and the ones who do, you have to pay them, because you can, in some industries, you can only apply for government contracts if you meet a certain criteria, if you're a certain percentage black, the company. A friend of mine who I went to university with, his father owns an engineering firm. And he was saying with new graduates that they were taking identical qualifications, they were paying the black graduates double what the whites were getting.
Man. Yeah, the money. shenanigans that are going on from the top down. So like, what the leadership is doing with printing money out there and the value of the currency. It's just madness. I mean, the bottom could fall out of this thing at any time.
Oh yeah, and it is. I mean, when we moved here only 4 years ago,
Mhm.
it was 11 rand to a pound,
Uh-huh.
and 6 months ago it was 24 rand to a pound or something like those lines. So it's doubled in the space of 4 years.
Man, I mean, I've lived in Argentina before, and they have problems with inflation, but even they try to keep it a little bit more grounded than that. I mean, damn, that is fucking off the charts.
I've seen worse. I went to school in Zimbabwe.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
then yeah. I mean, Zimbabwe is up there, competitive for one of the worst countries on earth. I mean,
But yet, the amazing thing about Zimbabwe is there's no black-white racism, and everyone realizes the situation's shit. We might as well get along, among the general populace.
well, you say that, but what about the genocide of white farmers?
That's actually a bigger problem in South Africa now.
Mhm.
I mean, it's getting zero news coverage.
Somebody wrote that there are 70,000 murders of white people since the end of apartheid in South Africa.
Oh yeah, I don't know the numbers,
Right.
And to say yes or no, that's
Of course, but I mean, just the fact that there's going to be a pretty gaudy number with that, and it's going to be kind of scary to realize it's true.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the sad thing.
Mhm.
Although I don't know the exact figure, that you wouldn't be surprised if that's the case shows how bad the situation is.
So what about my dad told me about the colored people in South Africa, and this was news to me, but apparently the Dutch have a thing for black women. It's not black men and white women. It's white men and black women.
Oh yeah, colored's there basically now. A colored in South Africa, primarily in the Western Cape, is half white, half black.
Right.
So like in South Africa, Obama would be called a colored.
Sure.
He wouldn't be called black. But it's so many generations now that coloreds are basically their own sort of race, for lack of a better word, because I mean you've got coloreds in South Africa now that are 6, 7, 8 generations deep of being colored.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nowhere else in the world it's like that.
Do you find it interesting? Do you keep an eye on the race politics in America and just all the bullshit going on with Black Lives Matter and things like that?
Oh yeah, I have been. I've been very interested in this whole the current political cycle there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are having there. I suppose you're in Germany, but
yeah,
with the anti-establishment candidates, I think it's a good shake-up for the powers that be, regardless of who comes out on top.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that people on the left and the right are just getting a bit sick and tired of same old.
It is a little bit interesting that people on the left hate people on the left and people on the right hate people on the right. I mean, that is giving us a little bit. I mean, what it says to me is that we should have more than 2 groups. We should have
for sure.
Just at least 5 groups off the top of my head. We should have the religious right, the alt-right, the regressives, the classical liberals, the libertarians.
Libertarians,
yeah. I mean, I mean, there's a few different divisions I think we could already do right now.
The regressives are driving true liberals to the right.
Yeah, well, but we're only to the right in comparison to them, and that's everybody's to the right of them.
It's that horseshoe effect where basically the far left and far right are identical things now.
Well, to me, it's beautifully summed up with criticism of Hillary Clinton about her emails or about Benghazi. Guess who's doing that? The far right and the far left. Both.
Jeez.
They're both attacking her. And because why? Well, I guess if you want to call Hillary more center, then it sort of makes sense. There's enough distance between their points of view on the left and the right that they both hate her. which to me
Yeah.
makes a good compromise. I mean, that's why she's going to be the next president. So she splits the difference. But look, I mean,
And
there's a lot of regressives in South Africa. That's one thing I learned from this video and just from hearing about some of the opinions down there, is that it's the same mentality is happening down there.
have you heard about the whole Rhodes Must Fall movement?
No.
That started where I went to university, Cape Town.
The schooling system, or what the university?
I don't know how much of the history you know. Cecil John Rhodes.
Yeah.
He was a very wealthy, very pro-British imperialism, and there was
sure.
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously heard of a Rhodes Scholarship,
right? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the most famous university scholarship on the planet.
Right.
And I mean, because of that, the JFK scholarship and all of that was set up, basically feeding off of that. But they didn't like the fact that he was imperialist. And obviously, by definition, he's white, he's racist. So they were protesting to have a statue of his pulled down at the University of Cape Town.
Okay.
And that happened. Then the protest has now moved to the UK, the University of Oxford, where Rhodes in his will left a large sum of money to Oxford University. And the Rhodes Scholarship sends you there. And basically, more eloquently than I can put it, Oxford University told this Rhodes Must Fall movement to get fucked. They're not pulling down the statue.
Yeah, well, I mean, pulling down statues, what a symbolic gesture to say, oh, they took away Rhodesia as the name, so that wasn't good enough, though. Actually,
now we got to pull down a piece of concrete a century later. That will stick it to him.
My uncle, Andrew Tracy, he has a doctorate from Rhodes University in ethnomusicology. So I have a bit of a connection to the man. But I mean, he's a symbol. It's like Christopher Columbus. He's getting the Columbus treatment. And he's a figurehead. It's an easy target. The only other guy who I know had his statue pulled down was the head coach of a college football team out here who harbored a sexual offender. So a guy who was sort of raping kids was one of the assistant coaches on the team. It was
and he knew about it.
He knew about it, and so, but he was a hero in the community for years. And they took his statue down, and sort of they did it in hiding at night. Sort of, let's just get rid of this. Like, we don't want to promote this guy.
you see, you got to be like I've always said. Every good person does bad things, and every bad person does good things. His statue there was not, in a way, immortalizing his harboring of that person. It was on another aspect of the person's life, like with Cecil John Rhodes. They want to pull it down because it symbolizes British colonialism. Never mind, humans have been conquering each other since we could, but it's now always comes back to British colonization.
Exactly.
And it's never mind anywhere else in the world. It's always, well, fuck the whites.
It really is. The fuck the white movement is everywhere. It's upon us. It's hysterical. I'm not sure what we can do about it at this point. I think standing up defiantly and pointing out that they actually don't have grounds to be doing what they're doing is worthwhile. I think that maybe collectively, I mean, more and more people will stand up and speak out, and therefore there will be a backlash and there will be resistance to this. Because otherwise, they won't stop. They won't stop until every white person's out of Africa.
Oh, yeah, no, they're not, for sure. I mean, it's like an opposition party in South Africa now. He's busy, quoting stuff Mugabe said about taking white farms. He's saying that's coming to South Africa. Don't worry.
Oh, of course. I mean, but as far as I don't understand why more people don't do what you did. I don't know what reason you would stay there. Obviously, if you have family and personal connections, then there's, of course, the work situation and finding work elsewhere, the legal trouble, it's a big hassle to move, but it's got to be the best choice.
But it's hard for a lot of people now because on a South African passport, which a lot of people only have, you'd have to get visas to go to other places. Like, you'd have to get visas to go to sort of just about every Western country. in
Yeah,
the world.
and they make it difficult. It's not easy. I mean, I've considered trying to get to Australia myself, and I mean, I want to get there before everybody else does. I mean, Australia is one of the few remaining places that actually is a great place to live. And
I'm just looking at your picture now. You must have come from Australia, though. There's no bloody native kangaroos in
I wish, man. I wish I had more connection there, but I do. I mean, I kind of feel like I do, in the sense that they all speak English. They all kind of
Yeah.
look like me. I kind of fit in, and they have an English heritage, which so do I.
And same lifestyle.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot of actually Australia and America are like kissing cousins. I mean, they're like our sister country. I mean, they adopt and follow our culturally. By the way, they just entered Eurovision. They should have won Eurovision this year. So it's also a great place to live because there's not many people there. And what does that say about humanity?
Yeah, exactly. And it's when shit happens, it's easier to control. Not in an authoritarian way, but it's easier to squash.
Definitely. Like when they had their issue with guns and they wanted to crack down on guns, they said, okay, well, yeah, let's do that. So you handle Sydney, I'll do Melbourne, you do Perth, I'll hit Brisbane, and you'll get Adelaide. Okay, cool. We're 90% of the way done. It's done.
Done. Let's go for a beer.
Basically, I mean, it's a little bit easier when you don't have these. And by the way, their population was like during World War II, they had like 6 million people there. You know, this is not a big place. And I'm guessing they get a lot of South Africans moving over because there is that connection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where, the sort of lifestyle I grew up in, obviously I didn't grow up in a township or anything like that, but it's us in Australia are, yeah, like you say with the US, the lifestyle is almost identical.
Mm-hmm. Now,
why did you move to Germany? I've always wondered that.
Well, I'm fond of Germany, but let me reverse engineer it for you. I met a woman, fell in love with
a Fraulein.
Yeah, I met her. I mean, if she was from the Czech Republic, I'd be broadcasting from Prague right now. I mean, so it's like.
And if she was South African, Johannesburg?
I'd probably try to kidnap her and take her somewhere else. Here's the question though. How do you negotiate all the negative behavioral things you've seen with some people in South Africa, and how do you balance that with all of the warmth and joy and the great attributes that so many Africans possess? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much of both. There's so much positivity and beauty coming from those people, but also so much of this darkness, basically, that we also see. Is it hard for you to sort of not let the negative stuff overcome and just smother your opinion of
you have to, especially living there, you have to push that stuff to the back of your mind. I mean, you'll lose your mind otherwise.
Uh-huh.
If you focus, you've got to be aware of it.
Uh-huh.
And statistics and probabilities of things happening, but to dwell in it. And I mean, it is, a lot of people were surprised at, like with all the shit going on in the Middle East now.
Yeah.
I bet you could go into Syria in some parts and walk around and think, actually, I'm not seeing any shit going on. It's not like every square inch of a place,
Mm-hmm.
every square inch of Syria right now is a huge clusterfuck.
Right. No, I mean, there's some great Syrians, man. I was just walking by some today. But it reminds me of when I moved into my apartment in Buenos Aires, and the real estate guy was talking to me, and he said, now, this is a good neighborhood. It's relatively safe. And then he said, that being said, we're still in Latin America. So you have to understand what I mean by safe.
is not what you used to.
Yeah, so you're in a different world. There are different rules. You have to be a little bit savvy you got to be street smart, basically.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. And the day we moved into the apartment, actually, there was an attempted robbery. These guys tried to rob us as we were moving in. They pulled a
fresh meat.
Yeah, they saw us as marks. We had these big backpacks on. They were like, "Oh, who are these tourists?" But fortunately, I was already a little bit suspicious. Anytime a guy walks up to you on the street, you got to be like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" He's either selling me something, or it was a little bit odd. So I managed to skate out of that one. Now,
Smooth
will you
operator.
yeah, no, it's lucky for me. Will you be going back to South Africa for visits or not?
Financially, not at the moment, but
Uh-huh.
ideally, to be honest, unless it's a freak accident, if I die of natural causes when I'm much older, I see myself dying on that continent.
I see.
You
So
know, I love the place, but probably Mozambique.
okay, nice. Mozambique,
That's
East Coast.
yeah, yeah. Buy a piece of land there, half bush, half beach, build chalets, and run a guest lodge.
I think that's what the character from Shawshank Redemption did after he got out of jail. I think he did something very similar to that.
I think they wrote that movie on my life.
Is that right? Were you ever in jail?
No. I mean, I've been arrested, and I've never been to jail.
Okay.
Or otherwise, I wouldn't be in Europe now if I had a criminal record.
Now, let me get your quick snapshot summarization of your opinion of Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, I mean, he did a lot of good to the psychology of the situation on both sides. I mean, if he was able to calm that situation down.
He was a healing and unifying presence.
Yeah. But like I say, every good person does bad things, and he formed the military wing of the ANC back in his youth. Mkonto Wesizwe.
Mkonto. Okay.
Mkonto Wesizwe. And they were responsible for car bombings and civilian casualties, and they were laying landmines on rural roads for tanks and that, but they stopped doing that very quickly because it was killing a lot more of the black labor force then. And bombings in public places, in restaurants, and I mean some of the stuff you're seeing in the Middle East now. And he was the founder of that. I suppose to be a bit sympathetic to it, talking wasn't working against apartheid, so direct action. But it's still not a good thing to kill an innocent person. I don't care what your excuse is, but I suppose the net gain of him was far more positive. It eclipsed any negative.
Yeah, I think it could have gone far worse with as many other scenarios, this transition. But if you want to take some harsh looks at what has happened in the 20 years since, it's not a rosy picture. Who is to blame for that? I mean, the tendency is for people to want to blame apartheid still, and it will be that forever, as far as I can tell. I mean, by the way, have you seen this comedian, the South African comedian who's now on Comedy Central?
Yeah, Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
You see, he's colored.
Okay, right, colored guy, but
he's what we call colored.
He bugs the hell out of me. I mean, he is regressive to the end, but he plays the black card, but even more than the black card, because he's playing the colored South African card, which is like, not only do I face racism back home with apartheid and all that, but now I'm facing racism of being in America. It's just, he tries to be the Uber victim, and it's just he's also not funny, but that's
with a platform.
Yes, and he is cavalier with his sort of anti-white stuff too.
He used to, he's always had a lot of leeway on every side for his stand-up comedy. No one in South Africa, no one complains when he does white jokes or black jokes, because in that aspect he's got the advantage of being colored. So a white parent, a black parent, so he can chirp the shit out of whichever one he wants, and it's fine, I can do it.
Right.
I'm one of them. So but yet, and I saw him a few times. He was good. I mean, I watched the first few daily shows and I thought, fuck this for a joke, and I just lost interest.
Yeah, no, he really troubles me. Man, did you hear in my video when I was talking about Jenk's analysis of who to blame for the rape? And he says, the thing is, people are, it's not really the people's fault. They've, we're taught this by the culture, and so there's something wrong with the culture. And he acts like the culture is like the Borg or just some mechanism that somehow
External
isn't people. Yeah, it's like it's not like. And then they actually read the poll where they asked the question, and the people answered the dead wrong answers to any question about rape. And it's like, yeah, that's still not really them. It's the police. You tell me about the police force in South Africa. Is there a massive racist conspiracy by the police force to not report rapes or prosecute rapes?
It's the police force in South Africa. It's got to be put down to a lot of incompetence.
But what are the expectations? I mean, nobody expects them to like make it safe down there at this point.
You see, also a cultural thing is a lot of police. There's a lot of mob justice there in the townships. There's a lot of mob justice.
Okay.
I mean, they will. I've seen reports of people being stoned to death quite regularly and things like that. And the police will not go in to stop that because they know the crowds will turn on the police.
But I've seen footage of private security, and these guys basically just like military G.I. Joe looking dudes with heavily armed, and they're going around blasting people. There's way more private security down there than cops. So the cops are just one faction of what is just seems like just a bloody civil war that's going on there at all times.
Oh yeah. It's I mean these who was it? It was either Ross Kemp,
Yeah,
or Louis Theroux that did something on Joburg and about basically following around one of these private security firms, going and kicking out Nigerians out of hijacked buildings and all of that.
you know,
it's huge.
But
there.
you know, it's funny that the amount of stories we get in the West about South Africa, like it's gonna be about apartheid. It's gonna be about fuck white people. You'll never hear a story that is critical of blacks, or the black leadership or the black police force. Nothing like that. Imagine Haiti. So you remember the big earthquake in Haiti? By the way, Haiti was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to kick the colonial power out, and they're also one of the most desperately awful countries in humanity. But Haiti, so the earthquake happens, all the media rush there. They have the disaster porn for a couple weeks. They cover it. This is a humanitarian story. These poor people, we should help them. Then what was the next story? Will there be a follow-up story years later going, you know what? We felt bad for them about that earthquake, but the black leaders down here have fucked this situation. They've been sitting on their thumbs. They haven't done shit for these people, and they're painfully, woefully corrupt and incompetent, and the world needs to know about it, and we need to criticize them. Like, who's doing that?
The highest echelons in South Africa. The president is been involved in a thing now. His private residence in KwaZulu-Natal, because he's a Zulu.
Sure.
Is actually the first Zulu president. All the other black presidents, Nelson Mandela were Xhosa. And he's the first Zulu. His private residence, he spent equivalent of, give or take, 10 million pounds of taxpayer money upgrading it.
How many wives
and
do
this
you have?
And this has been going on for a while. Then he was taken because he put in a massive swimming pool, which was now a fire pool. For if a fire broke out, his guests could jump in there to be safe from it. But then it eventually went to the Human Rights Court. I mean, this is very recent. This is within the last couple of months. And the Human Rights Commission said, what you have done is a breach of the South African Constitution and that you need to pay the money back. You know what he said? Fuck that. I'm not paying it back.
And that's it. Yeah, I mean, the guy's he's like King Joffrey. I mean, he just doesn't care, and he's never going to leave power, and he doesn't seem to want to die either.
This is Zuma's he's coming towards the end of his 2 terms now, but he's already trying to change the constitution that he can run for.
That's so Arnold Schwarzenegger of him to try to do that.
Go look at just when you've got some time on YouTube. Search Zuma counting. He can't even read numbers off a page. If you wrote down, for instance, 1,700,346, he won't be able to read that.
Wow.
That is how illiterate he is.
Well, the level of incompetence of the African leadership and the corruption is just so startling, and it's so prevailing. It's just in every country down there. I mean, by the
Yeah.
way, isn't South Africa supposed to be the beacon of hope for that whole region? I mean, it has been in the
It
past.
is. I mean, it's referred to as the Rainbow Nation.
Yeah, but it's not like we're saying,
It's
you know what,
that.
South Africa's okay, but the real hope for Africa is Liberia or the Congo. It's like,
Oh yeah, it's. I think people are starting sort of to brush that idea under the rug quietly
I say,
while no
right.
one's looking and stop mentioning it because it's. I mean, it's been all right. It's been not bad under Nelson Mandela, and then Thabo Mbeki wasn't bad, but since Zuma, it's gone the same way just about every other African nation has.
I honestly was thinking about going down there for the World Cup, and I think I was reading some stats about the murder, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to watch these games from London.
And that was probably the most peaceful time. That was a good unifier for South Africa. Right?
Well,
That World Cup.
the vuvuzela phenomenon that did not. I don't think the world was too appreciative of that. I mean, from my family specializes in African music, but those vuvus did not help the cause.
You can't class that as music, a vuvuzela.
Yeah, but I do love. I think one of the soccer players on the South African team. I think he scored the first goal for South Africa. His name is Shabalala, which I love.
Yeah, Shabalala with his dreads.
I love it. Not a single white guy on the team, or maybe one. Was there one?
I don't remember, but you're talking about that. I mean, again, another fuck the whites.
Mm-hmm.
Of sport in South Africa has just told South African rugby, you cannot apply to hold any more international events until you transform the team to at least 50% black. They're not saying that about the soccer team where you've got to have X% white, but it's the sports that have primarily white players in them that they've said, no, you have to change. Fuck meritocracy. We'll do it on color.
So now you traded all the problems and the crime and the rape and all the issues in South Africa. You traded all that for Muslim rapists in the UK. Is that correct?
And a pig fucker of a prime minister.
You're against the man, huh?
I know you must have seen that story that came out about him supposedly while he was at Eton, I think it was, or might have been at university, where an initiation for his little elite club.
Oh.
He had to conduct fellatio with a pig's head or something like that.
Well, a dead pig.
Yeah, dead pig.
Okay, well that's not even morally problematic. That's just friction.
Necrophiliac bestiality.
Technically, yes.
But it's all hearsay. I mean, I see this problem in the UK. I mean, that Rotherham thing was sickening.
Mm-hmm. Well, the numbers. I mean, I don't know if you saw the rape stats per 100,000. It was like 1 in Japan and like 28 in America and something like 28 in the UK, and then 91 in South Africa. So.
Oh yeah, it's scary. But I mean, here the UK with the. I was trying to, when you were asking about something to talk to earlier. I mean, I put up a question there, but I see, there was stuff coming fast and furious on the chat there, and a lot of just people slinging shit for no apparent reason.
What was the question?
What are your thoughts on old Tommy Robinson?
I think he's a good guy. I think he was smeared. I think he went through the ringer, blame the messenger sort of situation. I think he has learned. I think he's evolved his position. I think he's more political, more strategic now. He's distanced himself from the hardcore right-wingers and the racists. And he has a great point. He's got a valid point. He's on the right side of history. He's a working class guy. He's not the brightest dude around. He's a bit obsessed and paranoid, but he's dedicated his life to this. This is the rest of his life is going to be to try to clean up Luton and clean up the UK and defend the culture that he loves. I mean, the guy is a patriot, and he's an Englishman. I mean, he's not some devious guy. He's not saying anything that's
Yeah.
out of control. He's the
He
guy.
knows how to play the media's game now, though, also, which
Yeah,
they're
and
not
I mean,
smearing
if
it as
you-
much anymore because they're realizing. I think people are realizing enough
Yeah.
of this shit, and actually, he instead of just throwing out the term racist and bigot and Islamophobe, let's actually listen first, address the argument, and they're giving him more credibility now.
Oh, dude, it's so boring, that labeling game that people play. I'm trying to expose it and highlight it and just let you know that this is what's going to happen. It's almost like a doctor warning you, like, okay, so I'm going to tap you here. This might hurt a little bit. So you might cough when I grab your balls here. No. But if
The side effects are being called racist, bigot, and
yeah, I mean, look, they're calling dudes like Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and just anybody, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. It doesn't matter. You're getting called it if you mention a problem.
and how can anyone call Sam Harris a racist or
Right.
a bigot?
So
I mean, he's a Zen Buddhist master of
no,
tranquil thought.
he's Jewish Mr. Miyagi. I mean,
That's it.
but yeah, the thing is, I've criticized white people, all day and night. The Catholic Church, or just the Christians, or Kirk Cameron, or just, I criticize white people all the time. I've never once been called a racist for doing that. How fascinating is that? Never once has somebody even thought to call me a racist for attacking white people.
Double standards much?
Yeah, and it's a weird thing, man. MTV News keeps pumping out stuff. Actually, I was.
Oh, Francesca Ram.
Yeah.
What's her name? Francesca. Jesus, what a sickening bitch.
She really is, and she's so happy with herself. But that channel only has 63,000 subs, which I was kind of shocked by. I thought it's MTV. Surely it's got the brand awareness. They got to cross promote, but no, it's not really that popular. I mean, I almost
Fortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Fortunately, but she is comical. She's a self-parody at this point. I mean, she seriously. It's just, what can I say about white people this week?
Do you think she notices it?
Yeah, she has to glance at the dislikes and the comments, and I think she just makes her want to double down on it. I think she has an inner circle of friends who are sort of black empowerment, pat each other on the back types, and I think they all sort of reinforce their echo chamber type thoughts, and they'll have like dinner parties. They'll go out drinking, and they'll have back and forth very deep conversations about, oh my God, this is my obligation. Finally, we're coming back, and we've been waiting so long to tell these white people where they can stick it. And she's
spurring each other on.
Yep, I think once you have enough people in your support group, I don't think any amount of negative outside, they'll just view that as, oh, I'm doing something good. See, this is how many racists there are out there. Anybody who's negative against me must be a racist.
And everyone I know is telling me what a great job I'm doing.
Yeah. But as far as Tommy Robinson goes, his performance at Oxford Union, on Sargon's channel, on Rubin Report, the guy's legit. He knows what he's talking about. He's not an idiot. He doesn't say anything that's controversial.
Did you see him on Al Jazeera?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Where the guy tried to catch him out with the Old Testament, and he fucking handed it back to him.
The guy knows the Quran better than most Muslims now. And he posted the unedited version of that Al Jazeera encounter to shame Al Jazeera for trying to edit out what was actually said.
Oh, that was pretty. What do you? I haven't seen. You might have. I haven't seen any. Have you done any videos on AJ Plus?
Oh yeah, many. About 5.
Regressive mouthpiece of the Middle East.
Yeah, about 6 or 7, I'd say. Yeah, they are stunning. I mean, they're such charlatans. They're such simplistic idiots. Their videos are just popcorn. They just do a 1-minute thing that's just fuck Israel or something.
but that appeals to the masses and makes perfect sense. That the demographic that they're aiming towards.
Yep, they'll just get to the point. And what I love is they'll sprinkle in some tweets, just some tweets that are fully on board, just cocksucking their agenda at the end of it. So it's like, look, we're using social media. Here's a tweet of somebody totally agreeing with me.
Also throwing in a bit more casual racism.
Oh man, the casual racism is everywhere. I think it's hysterical, because the thing is, as most white people know, our concern about it is not at the level that a group like Black Lives Matter is. We're pretty much embedded and occupied in our lives, and we're not obsessed about this. You have to notice it. You have to be aware that these people are projecting their own frustrations or anger outward. This is a psychological spasm, and we are the targets. And it's happening in South Africa, it's happening in Australia, it's happening in Canada, it's happening in America. It's all.
And I think there's also very little pushback, because I mean, this whole narrative that's been going on for how long now? How many white people out there have this sort of white guilt for what many generations ago did, so they don't want to speak up about it?
Yes, you have colonial guilt, you have Nazi guilt, you got slavery guilt, all that stuff. So if you're going to push back, let's say you're a white guy, who are you expecting is going to have your back? What do you gain from standing up and speaking out against the racism towards white people? Okay, the only chance you have, you might have a few minority groups who say, you know what, that guy actually is right, which I have. But there's going to be you're going to alienate.
Chastised by the media and everything.
The mainstream will alienate you. You will be the target of smear campaigns. You will face social stigma, and there will be a huge subset of your own social network, white people, who will be like, they'll vilify you. They'll be like, wait a minute, I want to get points by saying this person's the problem because that person spoke out or was critical against people who were not white. And just that dynamic.
Virtue signaling.
They will do that. And what's the benefit? Or I could just be quiet and just watch watch Stephon Curry shoot some threes, or just watch the latest movie. I don't have to be doing this. So why am I risking all that?
But until one day you wake up and you're truly fucked in a situation as white people, and then you think, oh well, shit, it's 1984, George Orwell for whites, and now it's a bit too late.
Because look, I can do it from my vantage point. I'm sitting here in Germany. I got my girlfriend. I'm happy with my life. I make money online. I'm pretty independent. But let's say you're somebody who's embedded in a community, like that white judge in South Africa. Her life is ruined now. They're calling for her to be disbarred. She will never be able to get clear of this stigma. And she said nothing wrong, nothing even close to being wrong. And so somebody like that who's invested, let's say you're a teacher, you're on the police force. Like I have a subscriber of mine, he's a policeman. You think he's going to get up and start mouthing off and, standing up and speaking out? No, of course not. He's going to ruin everything. He's got a family to feed.
Yeah, personally, he can't afford it. He
Right.
can't afford, and it's a smart choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's on a personal level, it's the right thing to do.
For sure.
It's like we generally look after ours and our own first, and then comes the bigger picture.
Look at this. I'm going to read you an email I got from a South African. It's very sweet of him, the guy, to send it to me. But he says to me, "Hey, Kanjani, I'll keep it short. I'm born and bred, proud, white South African. The story you covered on the South African judge is amazing." By the way, already people in the chat and people who would have heard that sentence would be weirded out by the guy saying, "I'm a proud white South African." Already they have ejected. They're like, I'm not on board with this.
And that's a problem. I was just listening to you read, and people who do react like that, that's a problem that they've got to address with themselves.
Right, because they hear, wait, I'm born, bred, proud white South African. So did I hear white pride? Did this guy just say white pride? I mean, amazing. So there's a lot to be said just on that. But he says, I've had a lot of discussions / fights with people trying to explain exactly the points you cover in your vid. This is exactly why I support you on Patreon. Thank you for being the voice of reason. I'll be sending a lot of people your way to watch your video and explain what I cannot do as well as you do. Things are as bad here as you mentioned. I'm moving to the UK soon, and many friends are doing the same. Fuck Zuma, fuck TYT, fuck the fat brown buffalo. Now, I appreciate that.
Story.
Yeah, and look, I'm talking to you right now, and you're in the same boat, and I have absolutely don't blame you for a second, and I totally understand your situation and why you moved, and I'd imagine it's somewhat troubling for you emotionally. I mean, you probably view South Africa as your home. I mean, it is your home. So,
I can see how people feel that, but I'm very much a happy-go-lucky person.
Yeah.
I could be one of those people if shit really hits the fan, go live in the middle of nowhere in the wild and build a cabin.
You know what? I should probably do a story about my cousin, man. My cousin lives in Johannesburg. He's he's got to be a regressive. He's a hippie. He's super weird out on like religion. He's into pot. He's like into drumming. He's a very good drummer actually, but I think he studied a local like witchcraft. I think like a Zulu witchcraft something. So he's like training to be a shaman and that shit.
A sangoma.
Yeah, something like that. I swear to God. And like, we basically are two sides of a totally different branch of our tree here, because he went in a totally different direction than I did. But I guarantee you we'd have arguments on this issue.
If you've spoken to him, has he called you a racist and bigot yet?
No, but I guarantee you he's a love peace kind of guy.
And wouldn't it be nice if we could all be that?
Yeah.
The regressives don't realize that not everyone in the world wants to hug bunnies and go dancing through fields. There's some evil motherfuckers out there.
There's better things to do. There's pig heads to fuck, No, but like love and peace. It's very good. By the way, there's a really funny song that the Eurovision host team did, like the guys that were hosting it. They did a song where they created a fake Eurovision song, and the chorus of it was "Love, love, peace, peace," and it was beautiful. But here's the problem. I am pro love and peace. Okay, that is the goal. That is the end game. The problem is not everybody else is. Do in response to that. If you're not a love peace kind of person, then there's a problem. Now, do I amplify my chanting about love and peace? Is that going to solve the fact that some people are not into love and peace? No, it's not. It's a disaster. That's a disastrous strategy. So what do I mean by love and peace? I mean, people in South Africa are raping and killing. Okay, murder rate through the roof, rape rate, it's nowhere else is as bad as South Africa. Now, those people are not into love and peace. I am now against them. Now, who are they? They happen to be black people in this situation. If they were the Afrikaners, if the Afrikaners were committing that level of rape and murder, I would be dead against Afrikaners. And I would be making videos about them. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with behavior and what you were talking about, the meritocracy. We're talking about actions. We're talking about the truth of what is happening in reality. Forget your politics about, color and all that shit.
They denying the rule of his happiness.
Yes. And it's a weird thing, because I think it comes down to problem solving. If you're presented with a problem, what is the technique you will employ to solve it? If I see a huge ass spider dangling over my head, and I go, ooh, this is troubling to me. I don't like that. It's gross. It might drop on me, might bite me. That's a problem. I could shut my eyes. I could pull the blanket over my head. I could just I could sing a song about peace and love. You have to deal with the spider. It's like, and especially the black spiders. The black spiders are the worst. Are you guys familiar with the black widow? Oh, terrible.
Send that analogy to Chink. See what he says about it.
Yeah, well, he'd say not all spiders are poisonous, or I don't.
Did you say black spider?
Yeah, exactly. Why's it got to be a female? Why the black widows? Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
She's already a victim. She's a widow. She's lost her spouse.
Yeah, I'm not against first wave black widows. It's only the third wave black widows.
But they're still black.
Oh yeah, that's the most important. They're inherently evil, those black widows. Can you believe it, Anna? I just love it, man. That's why I love pausing the video when she'll say something stupid like, so here's the thing. Black people are not inherently evil, okay? So it's like, wait, what? Why did you say that? Who fucking said that? I mean, it's like she acts like this South African judge, like her Facebook post was titled, "Black people are inherently evil, and here's 10 reasons why."
By Anna.
Yeah. It's so strange, man. But you know what's funny?
I didn't catch it when I watched that video, but I loved it when you pointed out. What was the word she just sort of brushed past, hoping no one would...
epidemiologist or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just totally jumped over it. She leapfrogged the word. She gave up on it. And that's her whole job. Her whole job is to read words on a teleprompter, and she failed. Yeah, and then I liked her pronunciation of the black. She goes, "Would you be surprised if I told you that some of my black colleagues proposition for sex?"
I love how you point out the tonation that they use in their language when they read stuff, and how you sort of counter that with, no, this is probably how it was said.
Right.
And just the difference in tone changes the whole theme and the direction of what was said.
But here's what's interesting. Okay, what is the percentage of blacks in South Africa? It's something like 90. If you want to include colors,
it's above 90.
Yeah, if you include colors, which I am going to include, it's 95, close to.
What, all Devon? All coloreds, Devon?
All colors. I'll include them all. No, because they would get classified as black. I mean, if Obama is a black guy, then these people are black guys. So
yeah.
Okay, so
the rest of the world would class them as black.
You're talking about a place that's like basically it's all black. Okay, like here's the situation now. If you're talking about rape, which is a problem that is on a massive scale, we're talking millions of people every year getting raped. Okay, now why is the color of anybody in this story relevant? Like, are you telling me that's the thing you want to talk about? That a white person said something about the rape epidemic in Africa? What if it was a black person? If a black judge had said the exact same thing, there would be no article, no video, no condemnation whatsoever. And
if there was an article, you know what people like the TYT would use it for? Mm-hmm. Look, we told you there's a rape culture.
Yes, and the thing is, they wouldn't do that because you could count on my dick the number of videos they've done criticizing African countries. I mean, because if the story is not going to be apartheid, or the apartheid, sorry, then there's no reason. What was the original point when they sat down at their morning meeting? They're eating donuts and coffee, right? And they're saying, "Oh, what video do you want to do? How can we promote the regressive agenda?" Oh, well,
Cenk ate all the fucking donuts.
He hogged them. So, do you think somebody's going to pipe up and be like, "Well, Cenk, there's this terrible ongoing rape epidemic in South Africa," and he'll be like, "Okay, I'm listening. What's the angle?" No, that is the angle. There's a lot of rape happening there. Okay, but so are you saying it's the white cops' fault, or what are we saying here? No, Cenk, it's just black people raping down there. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how to sugarcoat this for you. Okay, so
what you're telling me they don't have Devon's 4 regressive talking points?
Yeah, but they said so. But why would you mention that to me? What am I supposed to do with that? Well, I mean, you could mention Catholic priests in Ireland abusing women. You could mention slavery in America. Sure, okay, yeah, of course I'll do that. You could mention bombing Iraq. You could mention funding the Saudi Arabians. Oh yeah, I'll do all that too.
U.S. foreign policy.
Yeah, I'm going to get to all that. We could turn this into a fuck the cops. Well, how? Okay, I guess. Well, which cops though? Well, 81% of the cops in South Africa are black.
But are there any white cops?
Oh, there's 14.
Guys, are there any white cops?
There's 14% white cops. Sure.
It must be them.
Okay, well, no, but they'll go even a step further. They'll go, okay, well, 20 years ago, there were probably more white cops during apartheid. So we'll talk about the cops back then. So that'll be our target zone.
And they mentioned how there was very little policing for the black community during the apartheid. Jeez. Black people in South Africa during apartheid had to basically carry an internal passport with them. They needed to carry a passport and identification in their own country of birth.
Beautiful.
And I mean, you could go to prison for not having it.
The funny thing is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. What did they criticize the cops in America for? Policing the black communities too much.
Yeah.
So, and why did they get policed? Because they're committing a bunch of crimes. I mean, it's so obvious, the answer. It's like you say it, and it's a short sentence. The answer is such a short sentence that you're left with just a moment of silence of just like, dude, why did you think you had a point there? It's so easy.
Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, to read the stats,
right?
Anyone who's done the most basic mathematics, a 4-year-old could read to you which is the highest number on a spreadsheet.
But like, here's my point. People are so desperate to make things about race, and look, I believe it's more about culture. If you look at the crime stats of a place like Japan, unbelievably low. Like they're basically making a mockery of every other nation on earth. I mean, they're rape and murder, all that stuff. It's so damn low. Now, is that me saying that all Asians are inherently non-criminal? No. Go look at the crime stats in Thailand or Cambodia or Vietnam. I'm sure they're way higher, and they're Asian too. But guess what? They're not Japanese. So there's a cultural difference, not a racial. I mean, there are racial differences, but I don't think that has anything to do with the crime stats of Cambodia versus Japan. Okay, and just because I recognize that the stats in that one country are different than the stats in the other, I'm not making some grandiose statement about inherent racial tendencies towards X.
It's amazing. And do they not realize that facts, that statistics, that numbers, none of that can be racist?
Yeah, no, that's true.
It can't have that human characteristic.
And what I love,
it's a number.
Yeah, and what I love about the subtle racism of these people, it's when Anna said that thing when she said, look, you can't say blacks are not inherently rapists, they're not inherently evil. Now, why would she care about inherent evil as opposed to evil? And if you can solve that, if you understand why she doesn't care about just evil, but is then asking a question nobody is asking or making propositions about or like inherent evil. Who's saying anything about racial groups and their inherent evil? No, we're commenting on actual evil because we view rape as evil, and these are the people doing rape. Now, we have observed that, and we are not making conclusions from that. We're not, we're just acknowledging a problem and trying to cope with it, and she doesn't want to.
And where the problem is stemming from. I mean, you've got to address any problem at its root. Mm-hmm. It's like Sam Harris talks about with profiling in airports. You know how profile it's only the right thing to do to profile a middle-aged man, a middle-aged Arab man, more than a 90-year-old Swedish woman.
Yeah, look, if there's rape and pedophilia in the Catholic Church, does any white person have a problem calling them out for that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't avoid that. We don't ignore that. We don't deny that. It's like, I don't care that they're white and they're doing that, but it's happening. And so I'm against it. I'm not saying that all white people are inherently pedophiles. I don't care. I'm saying that these people here, in that culture, in that Catholic Church system and all that, it has a tendency, it has a trend, and so therefore I'm not afraid to acknowledge it. And I think it comes down to that. I think it's fear. I think it's fear of facing problems.
It's amazing how it has to be pointed out every single time. If the topic they're talking about is black rape in South Africa, how they have to still quantify it all the time when they mention a black person or the word black people, how they have to, as you've done now with the thing that not all, every single time. What the fuck is talking? What is the subject of the discussion? It's about black rape in South Africa. No one gives a fuck about the 90-year-old granny sitting on a little homestead.
Yes.
In the middle of the Eastern Cape.
I know. And by the way, what did you think about the Blade Runner situation? Oscar Pistorius?
I was a bit crestfallen with that. Jeez, he was a hero.
Yeah, he was. But what do you think he's guilty though?
Oh, he shot her, no doubt about it.
Well, he shot her, but do you think he premeditated shot her? Killer.
I'm definitely leaning that way. I mean, he's been convicted of that shit. So it's.
Oh, did he get convicted?
Yeah. He spent. I mean, but he got convicted of manslaughter.
Yeah, it was a lesser charge. I mean, I think it's kind of bullshit. I mean, you're talking about a woman locked in a bathroom in the night and his girlfriend, and he, from his knees, right? It was from his.
Yeah, he was on his stumps.
Right, on his stumps, he shot the hell out of her in the bathroom and said, "Oh God, I thought she was an intruder." I mean, I'm called bullshit.
Please just put a disclaimer that we're not talking about all cripples shooting people now.
Right. So, are you saying that people with disabilities are inherently murderers? Is that all of them? I mean, why would you say that? Why would you say all of them do that?
But I keep telling people in this country that won't understand. I mean, you've obviously gone over those crime stats in South Africa doing this video. I say, and the story I told you about being in the gated complex and people still get broken into, and how house robberies are organized. People are generally on a higher alert there. They're quicker to react.
Well, it makes sense.
So that's the only thing he's got going for him. When I explain to people here, it's not.
Yeah.
You're on a higher alert than living in a first world country.
That's true. It's a different scenario. There actually is a threat of home invasion, and I can
and a violent, potentially fatal home invasion,
life or death scenario. But I mean, still, I think he's bullshitting. But look, I found it interesting that you had the black female judge on that case with this white, sort of famous rich man, with this model blonde girlfriend, and they kept calling her mom. Is that they're saying mother or ma'am?
Like I suppose the
I think I remember
the
saying
female version of sir.
I feel like they were
ma'am. It might just be the accent.
Mom. I feel like they're saying mom. I think, or mother or something. I swear. If you look back at the footage, I swear I thought it was something very odd. But I love how Cenk was just already uncomfortable with a white judge. Just the idea of a white judge judging black people. It's like, oh my God.
If you put just the picture of her down in front of him without the story and said she said something about blacks, he's already got his talking points.
Yep.
He already knows exactly which angles he's going to take.
Right. And she probably cares about her community, cares about her country. She's dedicated her life to the service of her community, and sees the victims. She sympathizes with the people, the black people of her country. And for him to not understand that, or just assume that she's just some, I don't know, racist figurehead that's just there to exploit black people somehow. It's just like,
and he even mentioned it. He said, oh, well, you can't have, I don't know what he said, but something, you can't have someone who rules over these sort of things going into the court with these preconceived ideas of
prejudiced. And did you see the prisons segment I put in there with these guys?
Yeah.
How funny are these guys?
Oh, Polesmore, that's probably the last prison I'd want to end. I'd probably rather go to Guantanamo Bay than Polesmore.
Yeah. Oh, you're getting raped first day. First day you're getting raped.
Ross Kemp did something on, I think the gang is called, Ross Kemp was saying it's the only gang that started from within a prison.
That's awesome.
And spread outwards. It's evil. Yeah, and that prison section, all those guys in there were, as South Africans term, coloured. Yeah. They wouldn't be classed as black by South Africans in South Africa. They'd be coloured.
Sure. Yeah, you could see it. I just found it amazing. He says, so what caused you to rape? It was what she was wearing caused me to rape. It's like, what? What?
These many things. And
like, that G-string was not right. But how does he not, like, it's one thing for him to think that, but it's amazing that he doesn't realize that you're not supposed to say that. Like, that's amazing.
let alone act upon it.
Yeah, like, imagine, like, if you walked around thinking women are less intelligent than men. They're more stupid. That's your thought, okay? Now, that's one thing, okay? You can criticize the person on that. To get up in public on TV, you're being filmed, and somebody's like, tell us your thoughts on women. Well, here are my thoughts. It's like, dude, you've now erred in a different and more magnificent way. Like it actually eclipses your original error. It's the fact that you don't realize that you shouldn't say this.
Absolutely zero fucks were given by him. Actually, well, one fuck that got him in jail, but in his speech, I mean, he's really using his freedom of speech there.
Right. I mean, honestly, like if I hear any feminists talk about rape culture in colleges or lecture Western educated like white male or any male American about, hey, you guys, rape is bad, you shouldn't rape, speaking to us in that tone of voice, I will demand that they do at least 10 stories on prison rape in South Africa before I'm going to even listen to them try to spit out some trumped up bogus stat about American rape.
But I love it how all these regressives and these activists, SJWs and that, every single one of them I've ever seen or come across, they're all middle class, good education, come from a really squishy, cuddly background.
Well, look, somebody's that hair dye that they use, all that colored hair dye, it costs money, and you got to have a cushy background to be able to afford that stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, they go to college. I mean, these are college people. That's where the heart of it is. That's where the soul of the regressive movement is in academia. And these people are getting, they're getting a cakewalk through life on their parents' dime, and they don't even know what the real world is. And they're trying to change it. They don't know what it is, and they're trying to change it.
They've never had a serious problem in their life, and now by these far left professors who they look up to, they're getting spoon-fed problems that they can get angst about. Trivial little...
They tried to make the Iraq War into a World War III. They wanted the Iraq War to be as significant as World War II, or at least Vietnam. Please be at least, I want to live and die over this. This is my cause and my movement. And it's like, oh no, it's just not what you want it to be. It's just not. And they'll exaggerate it. They'll be like, no, millions were dead. It's a civil war. This is a war crime. This is, And it's like, dude, you're 22. Shut your hole.
People die in wars.
I know.
Like I said earlier, they seem to think that everyone in the world just wants to cuddle bunnies and
And what I love about them is
walks on the beaches and shit like that.
Well, their platform is one of self-deprecation gone to the extreme. So it's a self-hatred. It's a fuck America movement, and it's never going to be, hey, I'm highly critical of our decision to attack Iraq. It caused all sorts of death, and fuck that. Also, now that I've said that, fuck the Hutus over in Rwanda, those motherfucking butchers. It's like, you're never going to hear that. It's not happening. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, has there ever been a genocide that's happened quicker than that?
Oh, dude. It's like, it wasn't there an expression, oh, what a lovely war? That was, oh, what a lovely genocide. I mean, that was, you make one movie about it. I think it was Black on Black, something. I don't know. They probably had reasons.
It was Hutus versus Tutsis.
No, I know that, but that's their estimation of it's like, I don't know. There's probably something tribal. It probably wasn't racist, though. How could it be racist from one black to another? I mean, they're all brothers.
Unless they found some cable leak by a white guy who was suggesting one faction to do it.
Yeah. Here's what I want to find. I want to find out the racial slurs that the Tutsis and the Hutus called each other, and then just use them in common language and see if anybody gets offended by it. It's like, well,
they won't even pick it up. That's the sad thing.
No, it's a term of endearment probably. Who knows? Who cares? Fucking amazing.
Funnily, about terms and that, in South Africa, the most derogatory term to call a black person is basically what the Muslims call everyone else now. They pronounce it, kufar, but kafir, and means the same thing. Nigger in South Africa is really a non-term, but I mean, the real derogatory word there is kafir. And obviously I like running around now associating myself as that, because by definition, I am a non-believer.
Did you see my District 9 Fulkin?
Fulkin. Yeah. Hello, it's the sweetie man.
The sweetie man. The sweetie man is awesome. I think that is a genius movie, though. It'd be nice to have a discussion about that film and its attempted metaphor with the aliens, and I guess
the apartheid.
The apartheid, the aliens, the entire, the treatment of the other. I mean, it was a very soft, but yet consistent. I'm not sure how accurate metaphor it was for the racial or the cultural issues that South Africa has. But the director definitely has a standpoint. I mean, the writer is definitely trying to say something. It's not just.
Oh yeah, he's a South African.
Yes, but it's not just a random alien movie based in South Africa. I mean, it's there for a reason.
Oh yeah, it's the other. It's substitute aliens with a race of person, and
And
you're basically getting the same story.
I love how the Nigerians still get thrown under the bus, and they're like even more criminal and degenerate than the aliens. It's amazing.
But I mean that's hey, the Nigerians have got a bad rap globally.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Yeah. Dude, the Boko Haram's not helping.
Oh yeah, I don't think that stems to their being Nigerian. That's the problem there.
Yeah, but I mean, if you tell me a Nigerian's coming to stay, couch surfing with me, my first question is going to be, is he a Christian or a Muslim? Because I need to know.
Yeah.
Because it could be all smiles and peace and love if it's a Christian, But these people are backward, man. I mean, have you seen some of the interviews? They interview them and ask them about atheists in Nigeria, and they are way religious over there. They are a few decades removed from where we're at.
Oh, for sure. Even South Africa, and that in South Africa is among, Christianity in South Africa is very much like, I suppose, the southern states in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they love them some Jesus.
Oh God, yeah. Well, but isn't that the Afrikaners? They brought that.
No,
in.
that's the black population.
Well, the
Afrikaners are predominantly the same. I mean, I reckon the vast majority. The stats are probably the same as in the US.
Yep.
The vast majority of Afrikaners are sort of the evangelical equivalent. I mean, it's a very.
But I'm saying
atheism in Africa is tiny.
Somebody had to teach these Africans Christianity in the first place. I don't think that the teachings of Jesus made its way down to South Africa.
Oh yeah, no. Jesus wasn't down there feeding them fish and bread.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, look, oh yeah, you can come over here. We'll teach you about irrigation, and we'll give you some of this food and technology, so long as you read this book. It's called the Bible, Except
there's not that peaceful. In Africa, it was sort of beaten over the natives' head. It was like, right, we now own this village that you and your entire family have lived in for generations. We now own this village. You are all going to build a church in this village. Then you are all going to convert to Christianity. Those who don't are getting kicked out of the village.
One of the things is, look, these people were already believing. They were religious people. They were believers in something, in whatever the ancient traditions were. It wasn't like there were a bunch of skeptics and a bunch of sort of rational
free thinkers.
Yeah, right. So it's not that surprising that they switched up. But of course they're not alone in that. The entire world has been wildly religious, and it's a crying shame. Hey, have you seen the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy?
Oh yeah, that's. I mentioned that in the last video I made about those are Khoi San people.
Bushmen.
Bushmen. But they're made up of the Khoi people and the San people. Do you know that Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch explorer who landed in the Cape, he arrived in the Western Cape at about the same time as Black Africans.
Nice. Wow.
Give or take a decade. And yet you've got this whole land reclamation thing going on. All the land must be. And the San, the Khoi San people, the Bushmen, have been almost wiped out, by whites and blacks. But no, this land reformation, all the land must go back to the blacks. Forget about the Khoi San people.
Right.
Yeah, it's sort of
a bit of some holes to be punched in the reasoning on that. Sure.
Yeah.
Funny little side story. My uncle Andrew Tracy, who runs the International Library of African Music out in Grahamstown. He performed musically on that movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy. He played.
Nice.
Yeah, he played some African. I think it was kalimba. It might have been some other stuff, some singing as well. But there's some scenes early on, and he was involved in the production of that.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. If anybody wants to see it, it's really good. The Gods Must Be Crazy. Very fun.
And
funny too.
I challenge anyone to try impersonate the language.
Yeah, that's a popping and clicking one for sure.
Yeah. Did your uncle ever, obviously coming from a big music background, did your uncle ever do stuff, with people like, I don't know, Ladysmith Black Mambazo and
Are these like famous cultural icons in the region, or?
I mean, Ladysmith are huge. I think they've won 2 or 3 Grammys in their
I think
career.
he's more into teaching and preserving and promoting. He had a steel drum band that he went around with and toured the world with. He took these guys, I think, to England and maybe the States. So he got them on a plane for the first time. And he's got, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's a dedicated African musicologist. I mean, he's just all about it. But my grandfather was the original one who basically got my uncle and father hooked on the whole thing. But it's
yeah. How's that preserving indigenous musical instruments? I mean, that as a white guy, that would just mind fuck Chink.
Yeah, it would, for sure.
It would implode and explode at the same time.
Well, he would probably understand it eventually. Like my grandfather was in the 1920s. He was going around recording the tribal music of these tribes for the first time ever, and basically documenting it, naming all this stuff, putting it down, so that not only would the rest of the world be able to appreciate and enjoy this art form, but the people themselves. It would not be an oral tradition. It would be an actual document. I've
got the regressive talking point on that.
Yeah.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah, I mean, and that it's a fascinating thing. It's just you're not allowed to be involved with something, and yet his reputation on the ground, and anybody who knows about African music, they know the guy. I mean, they'll be like, I've gone through my life, and people will be like, oh, wait a minute, you're the grandson of Hugh Tracy, the Hugh Tracy, and like people that they know the kalimba, they know his contribution, and he ran a radio station in South Africa in Durban, and he actually ran it during the war. He had some ties to the BBC, and he was quite a British gentleman. So that is always funny. These Brits, these posh British dudes living in just the bush, basically living in South Africa, which is kind of a harsh place to live. It's dirty. There's some rough edges down there. It's not exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and new diseases, new wildlife,
dude, man, just death and famine and things that are kind of fucked up in the world. It's not a pretty place. You have to be a real person, a hardcore person, I think, to live in Africa. You might be so used to it, it's normal to you, but to me, it's almost like saying, hey, a guy is a stockbroker, lives in Sydney versus he lives out in the outback. Like Africa is the outback, basically.
It's not that bad. Not
what? I lived in a suburb in West Los Angeles. I mean, South Africa is pretty bad.
Fair enough. Yeah. So it makes. I guarantee you, it is far better to live than Raqqa.
Yeah, but look, there are some gated communities in Los Angeles, but here's the difference. You'd have like Los Angeles Lakers living in those gated communities, a bunch of like Steven Spielberg and people like that. And the reason it's gated is because they didn't want paparazzi, or they didn't want some to be bothered with like Girl Scouts coming to sell cookies. It wasn't because they were going to get gang raped and murdered by like a crew of gangsters.
I suppose in that aspect, it does take a bit, but nothing like living in the outback or living in the middle of the bush in Africa. I mean, that's life and death shit every day.
Sure, there are different degrees, and obviously this depends on which part of South Africa you're living in, city or country, etc., and which part of the city too.
like your different degrees of fuck Muslims.
Oh yeah, there's three very distinct levels of fuckery on that one.
I mean, even the nicest. And do I need to throw the caveat out there that I know a few Muslim people, we are friends? I mean, you'd have to for the regressives. But if you think about it, even the nicest Muslim person, let's look at Majid Nawaz. Yeah. He still believes in a guy
Of course.
that would be in prison for consecutive life sentences
Yes.
in every single Western civilization on the
Exactly.
planet.
And he believes in a guy that would gladly behead him upon
Yeah.
meeting him. He would be like, "You're not a Muslim. You're not a follower of mine. Fuck you. You're an infidel. Now, here's my sword." That's how he would treat him.
And those are the three most cardinal sins:
Mhm.
murder, rape, and pedophilia.
But
what
here's
three sins are worse than that in the Western world?
no, nothing. But here's my point about, you mentioned you have some Muslims who you know and you're friends with. So do I. I mean, there are Muslim people who are great people, but the reason they're great people is not because they're Muslim. They're because they're humans. We're talking about human beings who are three-dimensional, characters. They're not just like these one-dimensional, like, oh, that's a Muslim, so he doesn't have a sense of humor, he doesn't have compassion, he doesn't have a personality. No, these people are good people, but every part of them that is a Muslim part, aside from whatever cherry-picked thing you want to give credit to Islam for, that's the part I have an issue with.
Yeah,
So it's
that's...
I have friends who are bronies. Okay, I'm friends with
What's
them.
brony?
Oh, a brony is an adult male who's into My Little Pony and who masturbates to horse porn. I just blew your mind. I blew your mind. Okay, so there's a little.
I'm just trying to piece it together in my head.
Okay, so there's a massive movement. There's a little girl. It's a show for little girls it's a cartoon show about.
Yeah, My Little Pony.
My Little Pony, and so these guys have latched onto it because, funnily enough, it's all about friendship and love and joy and sort of. It's just like I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a happiness pill for these people. Anyway, they are into it. They're also sexually attracted to the female horses, and they get off on horse porn. So these people are nice people. I get along with them. But the reason I like them is not because they like horse dick. That's my point.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, so I can tell you I like bronies and I have brony friends, but it's a bit of a misnomer because I don't like them because they are bronies. In fact, I like the things that are everything but the fact that they're bronies.
People are more complex than just one thing. I mean, that's what you're saying just now is basically another thing I put in a video about the Muslims who integrate well into Western civilization. They are not integrating well because of the Islamic ideology. They are integrating well because they hold liberal values above their holy book. Mm-hmm. Their holy book plays second fiddle to the intrinsic liberal values they hold. That's the only reason they've integrated. Nothing to do with the religion. The religion is incompatible with Western ideals. It's whether they're a civil enough person to, put their religion in the back seat on this aspect.
Very true. Yeah. And, there's so many religions in the world, more than you could even shake a stick at, because everybody cherry picks in a different way. Everybody's a cafeteria Christian in a different way. Same thing with the Muslims. And therefore, what do we end up with? We end up with just individual interpretations of this terrible set of ideas. And so I don't care really, like the new mayor of London. I don't know exactly which tenets of Islam he's living in direct contradiction with, but I'm guaranteed there's hundreds. And so I'm sure I could criticize him on all the stuff he believes in the Quran, and then all the stuff he rejects from the Quran. I'll probably pat him on the back, but I'm not going to give him a standing ovation for knowing that you're not supposed to kill the infidel.
But it's crazy how, especially in the US, how it's like a badge of honor to be a religious person. I mean,
I know, screw him.
And the more and more I go over this whole religion thing, and obviously reading religious texts, and the more animosity I gain towards religion. Yeah, and not even just an anti-theism, almost a hatred sometimes. And I just think it's the most juvenile thing for aggravating to believe in.
It's childish, absolutely infantile. But religion's not enjoying the internet. I will safely say that. And I understand they have numbers and momentum and brainwashing and indoctrination and an entire infrastructure with millions of years of a running head start. But the internet has just basically, they basically just ruptured their ACL. Okay, internet was sprinting, everything was going smooth, but now we have some major knee trauma and the wheels are falling off. It's the death blow has been served up. It's just going to take a long time to bleed out.
Yeah.
But the bleeding might be accelerated because there might be some more puncture wounds on the way.
In technologically advanced societies, in Western countries and that, and even I suppose China doesn't have a big religious problem as is, but anywhere that has access to the internet,
oh yeah,
and free reign over the internet, then religion in those places, religion is just hemorrhaging members.
Like give North Korea the internet, free access to the internet, and watch what that does to social movements within North Korea. Watch what it does to
revolution,
right, to the disintegration of every ideology that the government there, is trying to force on its people. It would just be the end of it. The free exchange of ideas, being exposed to the truth of the matter, to science, to arguments, that you can't protect people from the truth for that long. And the internet is just like a kill shot for these people. It's over.
And the beauty is inevitably the truth will always come out on top. It might take some time, but that is why this regressive movement will die. The facts are just against it.
I think what you're saying, I agree with it, but I would add this. The truth will win provided that people want the truth. And I think what we need to do is convince people that accepting the truth is okay. And what I mean by that basically is death is real. Death is the end. Okay.
Yeah, that's the end game.
So you need to be emotionally prepared to accept that is true. And if you can, because if you really boil it down, people don't want to accept. They don't think that living in reality is necessarily a good thing. And look, we're all a little bit hypocritical. What do we do most of our life? Distract ourselves. We have escapism. We entertain. We do anything but try to live with some of the real ugly truths of our world. You and I are not going out today saying, what can we do to help the starving kids who are going to die today unless they get some miracle last second help from somebody. We're not doing that because we've made a deal with ourselves. We said, look, I'm willing to accept that there's X, whatever. This is what's happening. I can't help everybody, and so I'm just going to live my life and go for what's going to work for me. So
and try to do a few good things on the way.
Sure. You make a deal with yourself at some point. Yeah. Now, look, dude, I've had a great chat with you, but I have to go to sleep here. It's pretty late. But thank you for coming by.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, excellent, man. Glad you reached out, and really enjoyable to hear your perspective and to learn some stuff. And good to meet you.
Good to meet you, Devin. And keep the good stuff rolling.
I will do my part. And hopefully I'll do another South African story, maybe more of an upbeat one. See if I can find an angle.
Good luck.
Right.
Okay, Devin.
Here's what it'll be. It'll be a 25-second video talking about there isn't a rape happening in South Africa during this entire video, and then just end it after 25 seconds.
That's scary. Every 26 seconds is just crazy.
I know. Damn it.
All right, David. What time is it there? 2:30.
2:30. Yeah, off to bed.
Yeah. All right, Devin. Good talking to you.
Good talking, and have a great night, and we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, magic.
All
Thanks, Devin.
Bye bye.
And well done on the video.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Okay.